Good morning, Westeros!
And welcome to our Morning Throners podcast. I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Kyle. And we're your Morning Throners.
And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners, and we got Cersei 6 on deck. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Pretty good.
You know, I like this one, actually.
All right.
I feel like it's kind of the same as some of the last ones, but I don't know. This one was
I
more
do enjoy
interesting, I
being in
guess.
the mind of Cersei.
Yeah, Cersei ones are great.
It's just too long. It's just another one, man. They're just long talking a lot on some. It's good.
This
it's
one
good.
felt like it went fast to me.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad read. I mean, when you take notes, it slows down.
Yeah, that's the
So
thing.
I'm blaming the notes more so than, like, if I was just reading it, like, these are the perfect chapters to read and fall asleep. Like, I'm tired by the time I'm done reading these chapters, with taking notes or without. So, like, if you need some melatonin, some natural melatonin, read this feast. What are we in?
Feast of the Crows, yeah.
Read the Feast of Crows book, because
4 crows.
but it is a good chapter.
Yeah, I think one of the major problems we have with it is that, like, I've said this before, that most books, I think Game of Thrones has 72 chapters. I think Clash of Kings is in the high 60s. Storm of Swords is in the 80s. Dance of Dragons, I think, is in the 70s. This book has 42, but it's about the same page length. So each chapter is just, like, not
Double.
quite
It's
twice,
we're reading
but
two
it's close to
chapters.
twice. So there's
and
there's
that's
more
my
stuff
point.
happening, but each chapter is a lot longer than they have been in the past.
I really don't think, like, if you timelined out a chapter of, like, a previous book, which you said was, like, half as long, like, it's not like we're getting double content in a lot of these chapters, right? It's a lot of description of things and what's around, but, like, I don't know. I just don't know if the substance is there to be twice as long of a chapter. I'll say that. I'll rest my case. Good chapter. I
So-
like reading Cersei.
So some of that, Jeff, I think is like, we're also rehashing some of these old locations again, right? So, like,
yeah.
it's like, here's how it's different,
And
right?
there's some
Like,
new
and that
things
kind of
in
that
there,
stuff is
for sure.
happening too. And this one, I think, had a lot more constant tension than like the Jaime one. Really didn't seem like there was much peril or anything the whole time, so it just kind of felt low stakes, I guess, is kind of why
Yeah.
that one was a little more boring to me, whereas this one was kind of like,
What's
I
going
mean,
on?
I think that's
I
the
feel
Cersei,
that.
and that might be why you guys like reading her so much, is like she is in this constant state of just like
Gaming. She's gaming.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say, and I was going to talk about it on the Discord with, there was a
Monkey
fan
of the
that's-
North, I think.
Yeah, Monkey of the North was like, man, I really like this chapter. Or
He was like,
or the
I
last
just listened
one.
to it and I was excited to listen to the podcast. And then you guys were like, wow,
And we
this one
shit on
sucks
it.
in like the first like 2 minutes. So, I mean, first off, I just want to say I like that we're not going to just start saying we like chapters. Like, we're not that type of.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, we're
I'm not
giving
gonna
our
lie to you.
opinions honest. Like, we're not going to try and start saying we like them even if we don't. So, just clearing that up for everybody before Jeff keeps
Yeah.
going. Go ahead.
So I will say what I wanted to say, and I don't know if like the reference would have hit home, was that like sometimes this book gives me Order of the Phoenix vibes. If you read Harry Potter, and like that book is like 200 pages longer than every other one, and I think, I don't know if this is speculation or rumor, but like J.K. Rowling like was struggling to like wrap up the book, right? There was loose ends and like where to take it. It just gives me that feeling a little bit when reading this book.
Yeah.
I to counter as well, kind of that whole, we've talked about it before. We may say don't like it up front, and then if you actually listen to the whole episode, it's kind of like we did
Yeah.
enjoy
There are
it at
sections
least the whole way
too,
through.
yeah.
So yeah, it's
Because there
that
were
summary
parts of the Jaime
sentence
chapter
doesn't
that were
necessarily
good.
mean much.
Yeah.
Go
But I, one last point before we get into this one. I did think about that comment from Monkey of the North in Discord, and I was like, why is it that it seems like that in general we don't like these as much? And I was thinking the length probably has something to do with it, at least for Jeff. For me too, because it does like taking the notes that I take takes a long time, and when you just have more pages, there's just more notes to take, like Jeff said at the beginning. So that's part
TDM.
of it. But the other thing is, unlike even in like, I honestly think this is part, and Jeff kind of made me think about this in something he said with Jaime, is like, we only have one main character in a lot of these places. Like, I think that's why Cersei's interesting. Even though Jaime's left, we still have like main characters. They're not POV characters, but like Marjorie, Loras. These are like main characters that are still around Cersei. Jaime is now off with fucking nobody that we really know. Adam Marbrand is
Bonifer.
like Ilan Payne is the biggest. Brienne too. She's off on like basically her own story with, and they're not. I'm not going to say they're not important characters, but they're new characters to this book, right? Like Jeff and I argue about this maybe in the non-spoiler, but I think more in the spoiler section. This book, the way I see it, we're still going out. This is still growing. We're not yet on the like, okay, let's wrap everything up. we're still
Yeah,
introducing new.
I think we've talked about that. I might have complained about it more in the spoiler, but
so I think that's
the world's
why
not getting smaller; it's getting bigger.
Yeah,
And I've said that as kind of what's broken my perspective as well, right? Like it's like I'm like, oh, we're all out of these main guys, and then like there's tons of these all other small towns. Go ahead.
And I think it's kind of interesting because even like the Greyjoy stuff, which was like pretty new at the start, like Aeron, like who cares that his first Aeron chapter, but at this point, like the Kingsmoot chapter is actually pretty interesting because they're all they're POVs, but like they're also a bunch of main characters. Euron, Victarion, Aeron, Asha. These are all like main characters that even if they didn't have POVs, it's interesting when main characters are together. Right, so
power players.
I think it's interesting. Like Jaime and Brienne, who are definitely more favorite characters than like the Ironborn people, but their chapters could seem more boring in this book. I think it's because we're getting new characters to them in the Ironborn. Yeah, they're relatively new, but they're more important off the bat already.
Yeah, I think it's just more interesting when the major characters are together too, right?
Exactly.
And you can maybe get a back to back with different POVs and it's just storyline that is progressing where it's like, all right, Jaime's now hitting the road, and I don't know, and Cersei's good. I like the Cersei one just because I think she's being in her mind is just a fun time. Yeah. So,
and the political moves she makes impact everybody in the realm because she's like on the throne.
She's leading it. Yeah.
Even though main characters might not be there, we can see how it affects. Their ripples could happen, right? So
I think she makes some this chapter.
Let's get into it. Yeah.
Let me throw you want a quick synopsis?
Yeah. Oh, good point.
So she's riding to meet with the new High Septon, the High Holiness. She calls him a couple times.
Yep.
And she's kind of pissed at him because he hasn't blessed Tommen yet. So that's like the big reason for this trip. And we meet there's a bunch of Sparrow problems along the way. She's still trying to figure out the Marjorie deal, how to get after her. Yeah.
She makes a deal with the High Septon. And on the way back to the castle, she bumps into Marjorie and they have a little chit chat. So, that's pretty good. But it starts with them on the way, Cersei and Taena. Taena. Lady Merryweather.
I think it's Taena. Taena to me. Could be Taena to you.
I'm sure we'll use both throughout the chapter.
T-Mare.
They're riding. Of course, they're gossiping about Marge, right?
Yep.
Who's visiting her, at what time, who's the most frequent, any little detail that Cersei can pull.
Which if Jaime or whatever was right, like, I mean, this is like awful kind of stuff for her to be sharing with somebody that's potentially on Marjorie's side, right?
Well, Cersei's not really sharing anything at this point. Taena is basically giving Cersei all the information of who Marjorie has around.
I know, but I mean, I think like Cersei's obviously continuously questioning and stuff. Like, I feel like if it is going both ways, it's bad.
I do think it's implied that there is a little bit of back and forth. Like, obviously she's trying to learn about Marjorie, right? We don't know, like, to the extent of her plans. Like, what does Taena know? But I think because at the point where she's like, oh, I just had a wicked idea. Like, she keeps that a secret, but like, why would she have an idea if she didn't know anything, right?
Well, that was Taena, right?
Yeah, and I think Cersei has the same idea, and they kind of like understand each other. We'll get to it in a second. But the other thing I'll say is what Cersei has said to Jaime about the relationship between her and Taena is she knows that Taena is spying on her to Marjorie, so she only gives the information that she once passed on to Marjorie. That's what she says to Jaime. I don't know if that's actually true. I agree with you guys. It seems like there's a little bit of back and forth here, but just.
Well, I
think she thinks that
the back and forth is that like she's actually kind of plotting with Cersei in a way.
Yeah,
like she wouldn't need to come up with an idea if she wasn't actually like in on a plot.
Yeah.
But
so when they're talking about who she comes around, Cersei asks about singers. She name drops Hamish the Harper, Alaric of Ison, and the Blue Bard. The Blue Bard is Marjorie's favorite, and he's actually with her later when they come back from the forest.
And that kind of like raises Cersei's eyebrows, right? Like singers. Like I took it like that might be a way in type of thing.
Yeah, and he's good looking, right? So what we know is she's trying to get Osmond to sleep with Marjorie so that she can say Marjorie's infidelity, whatever the word would be. Later, she mentions that Ozzy doesn't seem to be having much luck. So here it seems like she's just trying to find like, I don't know. I guess Kyle, what do you think? What is she getting at?
Yeah, here? I mean that's what it seems like. So she's like jugglers, mummers, poets. I think what she saw here, right, was kind of like, I think it's common, at least in the realm here, that these young girls fall for the songsters, right? Like Sansa was all about all these pretty songs and stuff, and like all the singers, and then we had Tyrion's, what was her name? I forget. She had that singer that kept coming to her, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like it's kind of one of these frequent recurring themes in the books, at least, that the singer is kind of,
Yeah.
people like to be around singers. It's right. It's like their TV, right? Like you want to, let them.
But I guess I'm asking, like, what is Cersei like getting after here with this whole conversation of like who's around? Well, then Marjorie?
She's like, oh, he's good to look at. There's something like, is she maybe infidelity with him and already, right? Like that's kind of
she's looking for people that Marjorie's already, without being coaxed, being infidelity with. Yeah, I'm definitely not using that word as the way it's supposed to be used, but you guys know what I'm saying.
Sleeping around with.
Yeah. So just wanted to. I didn't want to put words in your mouth. So.
And there's some nights that maybe it's a little bit later.
Well, I guess the next thing she says is, "Do you think Marjorie's a maiden?"
Oh yeah,
and she's like, "Well, on the wedding night with Renly
was about it. Renly was ready.
Yeah,
he was full mast.
Yeah,
I've seen his erection." She says, "Yeah,
he wasn't no whiskey dick problems."
But at the same time, Loras had carried her up the steps, right? Like, so I mean, like you guys have already hinted at some of this stuff previously. Like, I mean,
maybe he was just taking a side glance.
But the bedding ceremony is unclear to me. Do they watch?
Nah, they don't watch.
Not this one, it doesn't seem.
They don't watch. This one didn't watch. I would say
that's true, I guess.
I would say in times they probably did, right? But like the girl would know, right? Taina was like, no, there was no sheet.
That's true. Yeah, there's no
sheet. She
sheet.
knows there was no sheet, then you wouldn't need a sheet if you watched it.
Exactly. Good point. Yeah. So, because I always thought the bedding I didn't know if it ended like at the door, like let's get him to the room, throw him in there, and you two have a good time. I think in the respectable
families, that's the way it is. If it's like
place to place, it's different.
Craster. Some dude definitely, like some weird uncle was definitely watching in some like shit town.
Because I saw a clip of the Red Wedding from the show, and in that, right before all the bad stuff happens, Rob mentioned, when the bedding happens, Rob mentioned, because his wife is a foreigner in the show. They change things. His wife's a foreigner in the show, and she's like, what is the ceremony? And he's like, well, it's the only way you know that they consummated the marriage. And it's like, well, if you stop at the door, that bedding ceremony doesn't prove anything more than letting them leave from the hall by themselves. So I thought that implied that there was in the room action, but I guess it's probably place to place.
If you really wanted a person in there, it would probably be like the maester in like a sane world. Like if you really wanted to make sure it was consummated, like, all right, maester, you're gonna have to chill in the corner.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, but at the end of a wedding, you're not having civil, like sane thoughts like that. You're just drunk and everybo's drunk.
That's what I'm saying. Like it has to be like kind of the way it's done. But either here nor there. The other problem is,
come on up, Frey.
The other problem is she probably, just from riding a horse all her life, had her maiden head broken a long time ago. So
yeah, she said it's common for highborn ladies in Game of Thrones time, Westeros time.
Yeah.
So then we go through a big list of knights who are always around: the Redwine twins, Horace and Hobber, Sir Talad the Tall, Lambert Turnberry. I don't know if she names this one. She might just say the fool who hides a good eye behind a patch. This guy,
she said,
swore to wear an eye patch until I think Tyrion is captured. He doesn't seem to be trying to do that at all. It seems like he's picking flowers in Marjorie, but whatever. He's wearing this eye patch. Then we got Baynard Norcross, Courtney Greenhill, then the brothers Woodwright, who are Lucatine and Portifer, and Grand Maester comes by from time to time too. And Cersei's like, what the fuck? That guy's gonna regret it if he's switching sides. And then lastly, she mentioned, well, I guess not lastly, she mentions Jalabar Zoe, and then mentions people that come more for the cousins than for Marjorie. Eleanor is betrothed to Alan Ambrose. Mega has a new suitor every fortnight, but she likes
the half-armed cat,
Mark Mullendor. This is interesting because she says that she wants Marjorie is asking Marjorie to get a monkey for this guy, this one-armed guy,
to make him for him to be a fool because he's half a man type of thing.
Which is so stupid, right?
Well, no, this is one of the guys that played the game with Brienne, actually, way back when. She has thought about this guy as the guy who was one of the ones who played the game, and she thought that he was funny because he had a monkey that would like do tricks and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that now you say it.
This guy lost an arm in the Blackwater. Apparently, he lost his monkey along the way somewhere, too, and he needs a new one.
It's stupid that she's talking shit on this guy for having an amputated limb. Like,
your brother.
Jaime has no hand.
But she has been talking shit on Jaime to his face about not having a hand.
I know, but like, I mean, like, she wouldn't be if he was still old Jaime, right? Yeah. Like, I think if he was still acting tough. If it was
his left hand, if he was cool with his sword hand.
I don't even know if it's that. I think even if, like, he just came back and was acted the same, I think she would have been fine.
Let's be real. If Jaime had a sword hand, he'd throw a hook on that thing and he'd be balling still.
He'd probably still be the same. Yep, yeah. I would agree with that.
What do you mean if he had lost
his shield hand?
If he lost he'd still be. He would maybe put like a dagger on that hand to be,
or you just
Spartacus
the shield to it.
Yeah, he'd be the man.
He'd be way better off for sure.
Maybe not character wise. Maybe he's still a douchebag.
But yeah, that is funny. I forgot about the guy with the monkey. I thought it was a helper monkey.
Yeah. And then here's the part that we were kind of hitting at before. She's like, well, what about Sir Loras? Cersei asked this.
The most frequent.
And she's like, oh, he's always there. Morning and night. Basically, when he's not on duty, he's over there.
He's devoted to her. They do everything.
Yeah, they share everything. And then a shocked look shows in her face. This is Taena. And she's like, oh, I just had a wicked thought. And Cersei tells her to keep it to herself because they're surrounded by sparrows who hate wickedness. Kyle, what
maybe she's banging her brother.
Maybe she's banging her brother. Wonder where Cersei got this.
No, that was Taena that said that.
She didn't say it. Well, yeah, I know.
She thought about it.
I think they're both, nobody ever says what they're thinking.
About it.
And I think it's interesting because Cersei kind of comes back to this, I think, at the very end of the chapter.
I did have to I went back like a couple pages later. She references Taena's wicked plot, right? And I'm like, well, fuck, she didn't say what it was. So I went back, did I miss this? And
I might have just assumed. I don't remember. That
I think it is implied. Well, I think you're meant to assume. But
it's not right here though. She said, "Best keep it to yourself. The hill is thick with sparrows, and we all know how sparrows abhor wickedness." So
they definitely don't bring it up for sure, but she thinks about it later on.
The very last line of the chapter. Cersei tells Marjorie that the woods are dangerous. She's like, don't worry, I have my brother to protect me. And Cersei's like, that's the exact shit I would tell Robert when I would stay back with Jaime, to get some alone time with Jaime. So she basically thinks Marjorie is using a similar excuse. Sure. And then Cersei just cracks up laughing on something that's not funny, right? And she's like, what's so funny? Can we share the joke? And she's like, you will, I promise you will. So to me, this is Cersei alluding to that same wicked plot. She doesn't say it here, anything about the wicked plot, but that's what I'm getting from it. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Which just kind of goes counter to the previous Loras rumors, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, what were you saying, Jeff?
No, I was just saying I thought I overread or underread. And,
well, there might be a different spot.
The plot. Yeah, whatever. It's neither here nor there. Yeah. They don't tell you for certain. You're meant to assume, right? Yeah. So. Or infer.
Real quick to Kyle's point, I think that's funny because Cersei does that with Tyrion too. Anytime she sees something suspicious, she's like, "Oh, that's what happened." Tyrion was with Bronn last Cersei chapter. This chapter, she's like, "Oh, he must be at Highgarden, spirited away." She gets to it later, right? So just anything that kind of makes sense related to people she doesn't like, that's what she jumps at. So it's kind of the same thing here, even if it contradicts.
Yeah. All right. So now we get some info on this new High Septon. Yep. One thing that I don't think I knew is that they ditched their names. Very Pope-like-ish, right?
Well, the Pope, this new Pope is
Pope gets a new name.
But here's Cersei saying it's hard to tell. I guess George is probably making fun of that in this. Yeah. In that when you become a Septon, you lose your family name and you keep your given name, like Septon Maribald or whatever. But then when you become the High Septon, you lose even that. And that's kind of just a joke, I think, because Dana's like, well, how do you tell them apart? And Cersei's like, you got to say the fat one or the one before the fat one.
The drunk one. Yeah.
The one that died on the toilet.
Yeah.
This new one's super dirty. Smells like shit.
Yep. Can we say what they call this guy? Just because I think it would, for us, make it easier. No? I don't know if it's a fan name or if anybody in the books.
I wouldn't know. I call him the new High Septon. That's his name.
No, you don't. I don't think it's a spoiler.
Don't do it.
Okay. I'm probably going to slip up and do it anyway. But
yeah, you suck. Then we can call you out on it because we told you not to.
I actually did it already in a previous chapter, and you corrected me so quickly just because it sounded just like I was fucking up what I was saying because I mix up words sometimes. And I left it in the edit because you corrected me so quickly. I could tell I didn't spoil you. Kyle corrected me.
It's not. I mean, I guess in definition it's a spoiler, but it's not a spoiler.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it.
Okay. All right, but we get a little story of Baelor the Blessed.
Yep.
It talks about how he picked 2 random High Septons back in the day, and one of them was a Smith guy, was just a working guy,
stonemason.
It was the Smith Reborn.
Yep.
And they had him killed.
He couldn't even read or recall simple prayers, so there's a rumor that Baelor's hand had him killed to spare any embarrassment he might bring. And then afterwards, Baelor got an 8-year-old named High Septon because he claimed the boy could work miracles. But Cersei thinks it didn't save him during his final fast. So Baelor died fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. So that's how King Baelor died.
Very biblical.
It's also
still up on your chapters.
I'm still reading. Yep. The Bible is crazy. I'll tell you. I'll just say that. I don't want to say anything more than that. The Bible is absolutely nuts. So I'll leave it there. I read a crazy story about King David last night. So I guess if you know, you know. But
if you know,
it wasn't Goliath. It was a little bit later on.
Yeah. Well, this new one's bugging her. This new High Septon's bugging her.
So I just want one thing I want to clear up because it confused me when I read that. Baylor didn't actually name these people. It's alluded to in that quote somewhere that he somehow convinced devout.
He got the votes. He got the votes in him.
Exactly. So he's not actually the one electing them. He's getting the people who do elect them to do it for it. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, if you get, I don't know what the word is in politics, but if you back them, support.
I think lobbying's probably good. But again, he was known as like Baylor the Blessed, the Holy King. I'm sure he was giving a lot of money to the faith and stuff.
If he's saying we should
Well,
vote
yeah,
that
it says that once more King Baylor's urging. So like you said, it sounds like he's heavily finger on the scale, but he's not commanding.
Yep, exactly. So this is where Taina brings up her son. She's like, I have an 8-year-old son. Maybe he could be High Septon. He's like, does he pray a lot? Did I miss something, Jeff?
I just have a quick note that the Septon's been on Cersei's shit list. He's bugging the shit out of her. I think it's important. Like this is the first note that they're coming into this meeting not on good terms.
Yeah, and they're not on good terms basically because it seems like she's been like sending word like, "Hey, come bless Tommen," and this guy's like, "No," ghosting her or saying no, not yet or something. So
yeah. So So get in the Taina's son.
Taina's basically like, "Nah, my son." She's like, "Does he pray a lot?" And Taina says, "No, he likes to play with swords." And Cersei's like, "Ah, so he's a proper boy." But Cersei's like basically like, if your son can name all 7 gods, he'll be on the list of candidates. That's all
he's on the short list. Yeah. Don't worry, he's one of 5.
Yeah. She's like, next time I'll pick it for him, and it might not be too long if the new High Septon kept annoying her. Then a weird line.
Yeah, this is that Jeff part.
Baelor's hand had little to teach Cersei Lannister where such matters were concerned.
So we just got done saying the Baelor's hand killed a Septon. So it sounds like she killed a Septon, or she at the very least killed somebody, right?
It seems like what she's implying. And this guy just got elected because we know what happened to the past 2 High Septons. She mentions them both this chapter. One before this, the one right now.
One was taken in a mob.
Yeah, here we are. The one before the one. 2 ago got ripped apart in the mob. Last one got replaced by Tyrion after that guy died, and then this guy, we don't know what happened to him, but he died recently, and now we know a new one.
We know.
Well, then she killed this last
guy.
one.
He was Tyrion's guy. He got popped.
Yeah, so that's what it seems like. Yes.
I don't know that anybody's getting shot, Jeff, but yeah.
No, they took the Glock. Yeah.
Silenced pistol.
Then they talk a little bit more about Taina's son. They're done with the High Septon talk. Now onto the Taina's son talk.
I think there's I got a couple just random notes about Taina's son. Is that she thinks that like Rob had some loyal friends, right? And Tommen's going to need some stupid loyal friends. I think even though Ned was stupid, he was loyal. And Taina might be trying for baby number 2. It's baby number 2 season out there for the Merryweathers.
Yep, she says that. One thing about friends, she's like, Joffrey didn't really have any friends. He had the Hound, but that was more of like a Joffrey looking for a father figure, which is interesting because I never.
Yeah, I don't get that vibe.
We didn't really ever see them together, but I didn't get that vibe either. But kind of interesting because Cersei would know better. Cersei would know.
I mean, Joffrey was pretty fucked up. The Hound was pretty fucked up. So
yeah,
he emulated him a bit, I guess.
Plant corn,
you get corn for sure.
I mean, I'm not saying the Hound's Joffrey's father. Just been a little too long since you said that. So
it's a good line.
I think he was like maybe like. Is the Big Brother program still a thing? That was like big when I was a kid. I wasn't part of it, but
it's got to be a thing somewhere.
Yeah. So I mean, it kind of feels like that, right? Like you are kind of a surrogate father figure to this person, and like just by being around him and stuff. Like he didn't get any attention from Robert. That was quite clear, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
And he's not getting attention from Jaime because Jaime like felt that he had to stay away from him. So yeah, he filled that void with the Hound, who is obviously a pretty horrible role model.
Yep.
So. Plant corn, get corn.
Yeah. And then Cersei was thinking, like, well, when I was a kid, at least I had Jaime and I had Melara Heatherspoon. She might just say Melara.
Melara, she says, yeah.
Her last name's Heatherspoon. And I had Melara Heatherspoon until she fell down that well, which is like, damn. I think she's mentioned this before. One of her friends
weird
fell down
drops
a well.
in this. Yeah, I don't remember that. Yeah, I don't remember it. I don't remember why or how or whatever, but yeah. Like, did she do it? That seems like it could have been like one of the first. Like, she talks about later how she's like pinching Tyrion and stuff. Like, she sounds like a pretty shitty kid.
Melara was in my notes before. Let's see where she was mentioned.
She's a pretty shitty adult, so.
We've definitely learned.
I don't know that we got the story, though.
In my notes, it looks like.
We definitely knew she died at some point.
All we've really heard is Melara was with Cersei. She was the other girl with Cersei when she got the blood sucked off her finger by Maggie the Frog and the prophecy happened.
Did we hear more that prophecy was one of the parts Melara is going to fall into a well?
I don't think so.
Nah.
Okay.
At least that we've heard
I don't know if Melara Did Melara give her blood over, or did she just watch Cersei do it?
She did, and then the other, because she's been mentioned twice, the other thing that Melara had said was after they got their fortunes read, Melara had said that a forgotten prophecy couldn't come true. So those are the two notes that I have of Melara so far.
Maybe it's like, what's his name? Shit. I wish I had a poll here for this. The dude that fell in the well at Winterfell. They like told him the frog boy told him he was going to drown, and he's like, I'm nowhere near the water, and then he ended up dead in the well.
Shit.
Alan or Fat Tom. Fat Tom was with.
It was Fat Tom.
I think Fat
it was
Tom
somebody.
was
It was
with
somebody
Ned.
big.
I think it was Alan.
Okay.
Yeah. How was Fat Tom going to drown?
Or maybe it was Septon. It might have been Septon Shale. I think it was Septon Shale because I think they drowned the Septon on purpose because Septon.
No, I think it was
is against the drown.
I thought it was somebody with a sword or somebody that was like more important than a Septon in that sense, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I just know that there are theories that say in that vision that who was it, Jojen had, that the waves are going to come.
Yeah, it was Jojen.
I think he said he saw 3 people drowned, and I think one of them was the Septon.
Okay.
And then you have to kind of stretch it a little bit because they didn't all drown. One was like stabbed and maybe drowned in his own blood.
Yeah. Someone was definitely
or is drowned just
blood.
the waves coming. But you're right. One of them did get drowned in a well. I think it was Septon Shale because I think it's a religious thing. I think they drowned him on purpose.
I disagree, but I could be wrong.
Remember.
So yeah.
Well, you can check your notes later. So the new deal is that there's a lot of sparrows in the streets, and they're just fucking camping out randomly. Well, like pitch a tent. Get your cook fire.
Kind of forgot to say something at the beginning here, but like we get the exact part of essentially Jaime's point when he was leaving, and then here she is inside this litter, curtains closed, nobody could see her, guy out front yelling, get the fuck out of the queen's way, pretty much. Like it's like Jaime's like, oh, she really needs to do something about this, and then here she is in the street
to fight their way,
putting on a bad face, right? It's like, oh my god, like this is like the absolute wrong play here.
And I think that kind of relates too with what Marjorie's doing, which is like, because Jaime's like,
for sure,
everyone loves the Tyrells, they love us, and Marjorie wants to bring Tommen on some of this, so we can talk about some of that a little bit later, but
for sure. But I just thought it was kind of paralleled here, right? Like that. Yeah. To me, at least.
Before we get there, we didn't finish talking about the son. Cersei's like, bring your son, like bring him to King's Landing. Like Jeff said, we need friends, and she's like, nah, he'd be too overwhelmed. The city's crazy.
Yeah. Get lost in the city.
Yeah. And Cersei's like, well, don't worry. Like,
he'll learn.
When I came to King's Landing, my aunt told me no one had to fear a lion. It's like, okay, what does that have to do? This guy's sigil is the
a lion fears no one. You said no one had to fear a lion.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
It doesn't work for every family.
Yeah, exactly. They're the plenty horn. Like they're a cornucopia is their sigil. So it's like what everyone fears the cornucopia. Like no, that's not. You're not going to be able to tell the kid that. And make it, the one in Hunger Games. So
yeah, it's fucked up one. Don't get
full of weapons.
That cornucopia, exactly.
You better be a bad dude if you're going to survive that cornucopia.
Yeah, but so like Cersei tells a story which doesn't really relate to the topic, but yeah. Basically, Taina doesn't want to bring her kid. She's like, nah, but don't worry. Like Jeff said, we're trying for number 2. Don't worry. We might have a number 2 on the way soon.
I think at the same time, it's also like, don't worry, I would have his back, right? Like, we're the Lions. I'm in fucking charge here.
You're
like,
with us.
You don't have anything to be afraid of here. But
yeah.
She's afraid the whole time here. She's like, I remember the last time I was out here. Like she's like, I better not get caught in another riot. Like, it's just funny. Like everything she does kind of contradicts what she's thinking, and like with the whole, oh, he's half a man, he's got half an arm, that stuff. So it is kind of like you said, it's fun for a reader.
Yeah. I have a little quote before we get to the sparrows. This is we need another son just in case, and then she thinks of Joffrey. And it says, she thought of Joffrey clawing at his neck. In his last moments, he had looked to her in desperate appeal. A sudden memory had stopped her heart. A drop of red blood hissing in a candle flame. A croaking voice that spoke of crowns and shrouds, of death at the hands of the Valonqar. Interesting. Quote. We can move on if Kyle doesn't have anything on it.
She said that already.
She has said what?
Yeah.
All this.
I think.
She said this was the prophecy. Something about Valonqar and stuff. I don't.
I think we've only got bits and pieces. I don't know.
We've definitely heard the word Valonqar.
Okay. Yeah. We don't know what that means.
It's a Game of Thrones word. It's not even a real word. So.
Do you want me to? Yeah. Like, am I supposed to guess?
No. I'm just bringing attention. To we don't have to talk about it if you don't have anything to say. I'm just bringing attention to the quote.
Guess, Kyle. What's the Valonqar?
I mean, the only people we know that are like killers currently are the whoever Arya's with, right? Like so. Men. But I don't. I'm not thinking it's them.
Just something that's kind of cryptic. We've definitely get a piece of it. I want to make sure you didn't read over it. I know you're reading a little fast for this one, right before the podcast. So just bring it up.
It's mentioned.
Go ahead.
Don't call me out like that.
All right. So a lot of sparrows, like I said, camping, cooking, doing everything. They're not moving out of the way at all for Cersei. You know, Osmond is up front kicking them basically. Yep.
Well, there's a ton of them, right? Like, where do you want them to go is the other side of it. I mean, they even get into that later, but like, there's so many of them, they can't get out of her way. There's like tents and stuff and fires. Like, it's not like they're just like sitting here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like people. They live here. They're living here. Yeah.
They get back into, again, why she's coming down, because the High Septon won't come to her. And she's like, well, they better not want to get fucking paid. Like, that's probably what they want. But I ain't got no money because we just spent it all on these ships.
Yeah.
Well, was that the last one that said that? Or this one said that? Either way, that's one of them said it's the gold he wants. He means to withhold the blessing until the crown resumes its payment. Is that this one or the? I guess that is
he
this
does
one.
say that. He says that to her later on, I think.
Well, Orton says it here, or she says that Orton said it. Orton says it is the gold he really wants. That he means to withhold his blessing until the crown resumes its payments.
When you say this one, you're talking about this High Septon.
This Septon, yeah. See, this is the
problem. I think the last one
right?
did. I think the last one blessed Tommen.
Okay.
Or blessed Joffrey, because she says it happens when the new High Septon takes over, which would have been while Joffrey was still in charge, and this guy. They didn't seem like they have any problems with the last guy, so I think he did. They had Tywin's funeral with the last guy and all that stuff, so I'm assuming that guy had done
that's
it.
right. I forgot he was there.
Yeah.
Maybe that was part of why she had him killed. Was
he was giving the long-winded speeches, and he was like, I don't know if it was her, but she's
and he stunk, or Tywin, like you didn't fix Tywin up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. So that's okay. I remember that now.
Yeah. She does mention that the reason the blessing's important is because even Aegon the Conqueror, when he came, he realized like, hey, people respect the faith. If
you want the people to respect the king and the crown, you need to be on their
rituals
side.
And ceremonies had power in the eyes of the ignorant.
The ignorant. Yeah, I do. I really like that quote. I actually agree with Cersei on that one line. I'm not a big like rituals and celebrations for the point of celebrations for no reason. Like if we're gonna celebrate something, celebrate an accomplishment somebody had. Don't just like celebrate your birthday every year for fucking because a year went by. So if anything, we should celebrate your mom. The anniversary of your mom giving birth to you. You did fucking nothing on your birthday, right? You just came through a slimy tube. Your mom was working hard.
I think that's the biggest thing you've ever done, Nelson. I hate to tell you that.
I don't celebrate my mom on my birthday, but I also don't celebrate my own birthday. So I kind of just play a middle ground there.
I met you. You being born was probably your biggest accomplishment. That's everybody, right? Like, I mean, what were you before?
Gotta start somewhere.
What were you before that?
We don't linger on this. We got too much to go through.
So, lots of sparrows, even more around the Great Sept. I don't know. I didn't name all the ships, Nelson. You can name them if you want really quick.
The ships, I think, is actually great. One thing she knows before then, she thinks about Torbert and Reynard. She's like, oh, they were always understanding of my payment being on pause. These two are two of the most devout. She asked about them a few times. They just want to get their names out there before we got.
These are my people,
Sept.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, oh, these people are. These are probably the corrupt ones.
For sure, they're the ones that she has in her pocket. Yeah.
Yep. And talk about the money stuff. She's like, we need the faith to pause loans because we've already paused loans on Bravos. We're just pausing all the loans because we're building these awesome ships, and that's how we get into the ships. The flagship
ships
was Lord Tywin, and it would dip twice as many oars as King Robert's hammer. So I looked in my notes. We had how many oars that was. 400 oars on King Robert's hammer. An 800 oar ship.
You don't need 800 oars.
That just sounds
At some point, it's got to slow you down.
It's gonna be the biggest ship. Big, beautiful ship.
It's just too big. Especially like
you don't even have enough wood to fix the holes. I'm shooting that ship down, and six cannonballs. They're down.
Well, there's no cannonballs. The only we saw it on the Blackwater. The warfare is shooting arrows, big rocks. If you have catapults, if you're near a city.
Well, they would have catapults on this boat for sure.
Stannis' ship did have catapults on it, so they would have catapults on it. But it's just ramming and arrows. Like, is having a bigger ship better?
I would
like,
think that would help you ram.
It's not maneuverable.
Smaller ships.
No way you're gonna be able to aim that. You've played Sea of Thieves. You're not gonna be able. It's so hard to ram a galleon.
You just gotta go
sloop.
straight.
The sloop's just dipping and weaving and bobbing and booping and beeping.
Nah.
Well, and here's the next thing.
You only got one shot. You better hit.
Like, she's already like acknowledging that they're like getting short on people, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure you could get like slaves or whatever to row this ship, but like still, like you're adding 400 more people to like do like you need. I don't know. It just seems like she's.
I mean,
like
there's not even really slaves here. They'd kind of have to outsource the slaves if they really wanted to go.
They
that
talked
route.
about this.
Well, it could be like the port, like she could go around.
Yeah, I'm sure you could recruit.
I could see her doing something shitty like that. Is what I'm getting.
Or just chain up the peasants and flea bottom.
I think they talked about this, and I think basically when they were pissed at the Night's Watch, they're like, let's stop sending people to the Night's Watch, and people that we would have sent to the Night's Watch, let's chain them to these ships and make them be oarsmen. I think
there
is what
you
they
go.
talked
It's
about.
It's more people to feed. It's like more people to find. If you don't have them in the boat, then like the boat can't go out. Like it's really stupid. It's like buying too big of a ship, right? Like it's way too big.
But she liked this idea of naming the ship Lord Tywin because people are now going to refer to Tywin as a she. The next ship is called Sweet Cersei, and this had a cool figurehead that looked like her in mail with the spear and all that shit. And it's implied that she names these ones, right?
Oh, for sure.
Lord Tywin, Sweet Cersei, Brave Joffrey, Lady Joanna, who's her mom, and Lioness. The next 5 we learn are named by Tommen. Queen Marjorie, Golden Rose, Lord Renly, Lady Olenna, and Princess Marcella. But he wanted to name Princess Marcella Moonboy, but Arain was like, I don't know if people are going to want to serve on a ship named after a fool, so why don't we check that one? And he names after Marcella.
The best part, though, is that this really shows the dichotomy between the two. Is that the right word? Between the two of them, where she named 2 and 1 was her. And it's got a sweet figure.
Kind of 2 were her, because we have Lioness. There's Sweet Cersei and Lioness.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I bet she's thinking of herself. I bet you a little bit there.
Yes, you're probably right. Okay, so I forgot she named those other 3. But still, then she named 5, and 2 of them are her. The one... The one is like the only one with this figurehead she talks about, right? Like she's like, oh, hell yeah, it's going to be me, but I'm going to be doing something I've never done before, where it's going to be like dressed in armor with a spear and stuff. Like when have we ever seen her do anything like that?
I think that's meant to juxtapose to Tywin being referred to as a she, and here she is in this very manly role in this, at least appearing on this figurehead in this manly role, right? I think we've seen ships before that have figureheads of like naked women, but normally it's not like this, right? So yeah, I think that's maybe a little bit of a... And she's talked about this before, like, when we were a boy, I could get away with doing all Jaime stuff, and it was so good because I was a boy. So she's had kind of some of similar themes to that before. But yeah, I think the ship names are kind of funny. It's interesting, like, I guess, to your point, Tommen doesn't name any after himself.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Yeah, exactly. It's like that's the difference between the 2 of them. Is like, yeah, he's like having fun with this, and like he doesn't see anything. He is completely out of all of the scheming, right? Like I think that's kind of the emphasis that's happening here, right? Like he has no fucking clue. I mean, he's 7.
Or he's just super influenced by the Tyrells.
That's the point. He's the goal of the scheming, and the Tyrells are winning. 4 of these ships are named after Tyrells.
Well, that's fair too. Yeah.
Marjorie's claws in for sure at this point.
But what I meant was like he has no idea.
Yeah, he is oblivious. He's a kid.
He doesn't know. Yeah, for sure.
That's what I meant. It's like it seems like he's not really trying to gain anything out of this. He's not trying like, oh, I'm the fucking king, right? Like he has no idea what that means.
Nope.
I think that's kind of, to me at least, that was kind of the emphasis here. Is like he's not oh build all these ships named all after me and build these statues and all that stuff. He's just like being a kid.
He's a good kid. Yeah, exactly. Somehow.
So even more sparrows at the Great Sept. Osmond's still trying to like clear the path, and now Osfrid, brother, who's the leader of the Gold Cloaks, he's got a pretty dope like cloak and horse, like everything's gold, right? Pretty cool.
Yep. So we haven't heard much about Osfrid. The interesting thing, we have heard him a few times. I think when she considers him for being the one to sleep with Marjorie, he's like, she thinks something like, no, I have something else in mind for Osfrid.
Yeah.
So at the time when I read that, I knew he became Lord Commander of the Gold Cloak, so I assumed that's what it was. However, this position is only available because Jaime took Sir Adam Marbrand. So when Cersei thought that Adam was still Commander of the Gold Cloaks, maybe she was going to just replace Adam anyway. The only reason, and then in the last Jaime chapter, he basically says, when I asked if I could take Adam, she didn't care. She was like, yeah, just have him on. So maybe that's why she didn't care, but I don't know. Just pointing that out because it's something I was thinking about that I'm sure most people weren't thinking about, that if anybody has any insight. Why, like, what did she have some other plan for Osfrid? Is there some other plan in the future that I'm forgetting about?
Did she already was Jaime already known that he had
the timeline weird? Yeah.
Timeline doesn't matter.
Well,
so.
I mean, in here, so she says perhaps I should have sent him to the wall. So maybe that was her other plan, was to be the one, he would be the one that gets sent to the wall to kill Jon.
If I remember correctly, when she's considering who to send on that plan, that's when she says not Osfrid because I have some other plan for him.
Okay.
So,
well, I thought it was the Marjorie
thing,
the Marjorie part, but I don't know.
That's all tied together. It's whoever sleeps with Marjorie is going to get sent to the wall to kill Jon. It's all one giant genius Cersei plan.
I mean, but I think she might have even here was like, he's cruel. I could have just sent him to the wall anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, why does she need a reason to send any of these people to the wall, right? Like, that was kind of the whole thing, was the Marjorie was like her cover was be like, well, then I have a reason to send you. But like, why is that something that she as the queen needs reason for? She could just be like, oh, I sent him away. Tell everybody they sent him away.
Or just make up a quick, like, oh, he tried to sleep with me. Go to the wall type thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The original plan was they were in the council chamber. They learned that Jon Snow had been elected, and they're like, we need to stop this. We're going to send someone to kill him. And then later she goes back to her room and Taena says like, oh, Marjorie has all these people around her. And Cersei's like, I have this genius idea. What if we have someone sleep with Marjorie? And then she's like, well, then that person would have to be punished. Oh, but then she just kind of links, you know what I mean? So in the chapter where the first plan is presented, she links it to the second plan. So they've always kind of been linked.
Okay.
So.
I know, but it's like, why though? It's a question. It's like, she could just do it. Like, she's like putting this weird stipulation on it for herself, right? Like, she's killing these Septons and shit, and like, but she can't.
But she has two plans. One that's going to end up with the person on her side being in trouble, and then the other one where she needs someone on her side to willingly go to the wall. They kind of stack on top of each other pretty well.
All right, so a lot of people, they can't even really set up a pathway for the litter to go through. She's like, I'm going on foot. Like, let's go. Osmond. Taena doesn't want any parts of that. She stays in the litter with Meryn, maybe? Does Meryn come with? I don't.
Meryn and Osmond come with her, and Osfrid stays back.
Okay. Yep. And she thought of her wedding the last time. Well, I guess not the last time, because she had another pretty memorable moment on the stairs of the Great Set. But the last time she was here with Robert, getting married, everyone was cheering for her and loving her, and now the sparrows are like spitting at her, basically.
Well, she says there's hundreds of sparrows in the courtyard and hundreds in the gardens. Now, when she was here for her wedding with Robert, she says it was thousands packed into this. So there was way more people, and she said they erupted with happiness. And she's like, it was like the one moment in her marriage that she was happy because Robert had whispered, like, look, they all love you. They're all cheering. There's not a everyone's smiling.
Not a dry eye in the house, yeah.
That's what I was going to say, because I love meatloaf. But
Jamie was
because you love what?
I love meatloaf.
Oh, it's a meatloaf?
Not a dry eye in the house. Isn't that from a Meatloaf song?
I've never heard
I feel like
that.
that's like a theater thing in general, but anyway, I didn't know it's a Meatloaf thing.
Definitely,
but
a Meatloaf
it could
song.
be from a Meatloaf lyric, yeah. But this is more of just her being so blind to everything that Jamie, like, well, she's acknowledging it here, but she's not doing anything about it. To what Jamie was saying of like, you need to be nice to these people. She like kind of is. She's like, well, we can't be kicking them kicking them and hitting them and fighting them or drawing swords on them. But like at the same time, she's not doing the opposite.
I do think there's a reason for that, and that comes up later, right?
I don't know. Let's get there then. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I don't know exactly what you're getting at.
Right,
to me, she just plays the biggest politician ever in this whole.
Yeah, I won't say too much, but like, there's a reason she's kind of cool with the sparrows, kind of being around right now, type of thing. Is what I'll say.
I don't know if she had that plan until later, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree, but
I don't know. That's a good discussion to have, Jeff. I think.
All right, so bunch of bones, right? The statue of Baylor the Blessed. There's just bones piled up there.
Yeah, when she sees and there's a line that maybe made me laugh more than I've laughed this entire book. She looks at the statue with the bones piled up. She's like, and she had cause to rue her soft heart. Let me put LOL in my notes.
Oh,
Cersei
I read right over that.
Is like regretting that she is such like, oh, I'm such a woman. I can't bear to look like, dude, you've seen so much. You've commanded such horrible atrocities to happen to people, and now like you can't look at this pile of bones like, oh, my soft heart. It's like, oh my god.
Well, I don't even know if it's that. I think it's like what they have done to Baylor the Beloved is what she says here.
She doesn't give a fuck about Baylor the Beloved. She calls these people ignorant earlier.
That's what I'm saying here, though, Nelson, is that she doesn't care about the bones. She's like, look at what they've done to my statue. Is the way I read this.
I don't think she cares about the statue,
which I think is even worse.
Yeah.
She said when she saw what they had done to Baylor the Beloved, the queen had cause to rue her soft heart. Look what they've done to my statue.
I thought it was George being funny on purpose.
I don't know, man. I think this is just her being fucking awful. Doesn't care about the death and the destruction that these people have caused. It's just not these people. Her people have caused. If
anything, I think it might show that she's out of touch. Like she's okay hearing about lots of people dying, but when you see the result of it, it's like she actually can't. She actually has a soft heart looking at it, but I don't know. I thought it was more just like a funny line by George.
I could see it more Kyle's way than your way, Nels, but either or.
Yeah.
We kind of get to the root of the problem that the Sparrows and this new High Septon have with the crown is that they haven't protected the holy people whose bones are laying at the statue of Baylor. So,
Your Grace, these are the bones of holy men and women, murdered for their faith. Septons, septas, brothers brown and dun and green, sisters white and blue and gray. Some were hanged, some disemboweled. Seps have been despoiled, maidens and mothers raped by godless men and demon worshippers. Even silent sisters have been molested. The mother above cries out in her anguish. We have brought their bones here from all over the realm to bear witness to the agony of the holy faith.
Yep. So like Jeff said, that's pretty much the quick paragraph summary of this is what they don't like. This is their problem. No one's protecting us at all.
Which we've heard.
Brienne saw this. Brienne saw a group of people bringing a cart full of bones back to King's Landing. And like, what are these bones? And interesting, when she did, she was with Sir Illifur and Sir Creighton, the two hedge knights she was with for a chapter or two. The Sparrows were like, come with us. All knights should defend the realm like they were supposed to do. And like, they were like basically like doing this before. And they told Brienne they were the poor fellows. So like the poor fellows are like kind of don't exist right now and get reinstated later in this chapter, but they are already claiming to Brienne to be the poor fellows and seemingly are trying to enlist people to be the swords in this like militant thing. So it's kind of interesting that they were already kind of recruiting for this.
You're right. This is the first we've kind of heard what the poor fellows are, right? Like the definition of them.
Exactly. We heard the word before, but not the definition.
I forgot about them claiming that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Also interesting connection. It's not proven, but the description of the guy who basically speaks for that pack of sparrows that Brienne meets has a very similar description as the new High Septon. So it's not proven, but some people think it's the same
he's got
person.
one leg though.
Not this guy. The High Septon.
Brienne. Yeah. No, the guy that she's with right now, Brienne.
No. They're similar. The guy that Brienne met on the road, who when she saw that bone, the guy who spoke for them was a really short, thin man
with a beard, pointed beard,
barefoot and callous feet, with callous feet. Described very similarly to the High Septon.
Got you. So she might have.
Yeah, there's no proof of it. We don't get either of their names, right? But yes, fans have speculated, especially like they have the bones. That's what Cersei sees. There's some parallels between those two chapters.
I know, but I feel like there's probably everybody's bringing bones, right? Like
you're right.
So it's hard to say for sure, but I would agree that they sound the same. At the very least, the dude Brienne's with now, right? Like she's with another Septon,
the
with bare
wolf,
feet,
the traveling Septon,
Maribald. Like I guess, Maribald, exactly. So I guess what I'm going to say about that is like that at least kind of gives the idea that like he's not alone. Like this role is played by many people around the realm here. So yeah, this is just a common dude is kind of what it sounds like to me at least, right? Like
who just used to service an area probably more in central Riverlands that got fucked harder by this war than where Maribald is.
Closer to King's Landing here, so more people know who he is, and so he's more popular, so he got voted in kind of thing. Yeah. So she does the thing where she thinks she's helping, but she's actually hurting, and she's like, "I'm gonna kill every last person that did this. We're gonna get vengeance and revenge for these people." And they're like, whoa, stop the killing, pretty much, right? They're like, we don't need revenge for this. We just want to be protected. Like this is like you're here for us.
I'm just gonna say she's the most classic politician. Everything that happens, she just blames on the opposition, right? Like, all the people are dead. It was the Northern men.
It's beyond that.
She's like, wait, people are hurting Seps? This is the first I've heard of it. Don't worry, I'll do something about it now. Now that I'm like faced with it, even though like she's known.
Well, now that I'm talking to you currently.
I mean, I don't know if she's known about this holy people.
That's true.
Problem.
She might not have known too much about it. Yeah, she knew sparrows were showing up, but she never wondered why. She probably didn't. She never wondered why they were showing up. Yeah, I don't know.
Yes, she knew about this.
The depth of it, I don't know if she did.
She knows where Marjorie is every minute of every day. She's not getting reports on the realm.
That's on her brain, though.
She's not getting reports of the realm. She's
not listening to that because she doesn't care about She doesn't care about these people. So, like, she might hear it, but she's not listening to it, right? It's like, all right, fuck.
I think the first she's listening to it, the first she's hearing it are two different things. I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to say. Is like this has to have been presented to her many times before, and now that it's in her face, she's listening.
Or it's something that she'd be like, all right, like you, like fake hand, dude. You go listen to this fucking complaint. I don't care.
I think you're both right. I think in a Cersei council chamber before, we've heard like Pycelle and Qyburn talking about the faith and who's going to be the new High Septon and how many sparrows are showing up. And she thinks to herself like, Arrayne Waters looked as bored as she was or something like that. So she has heard of it. She just hasn't cared enough to figure out the problems.
And I'm agreeing with you, Nelson, where it's like, this is in front of her. And so this is the first she's actually hearing of it, essentially.
Yeah.
Where
now
like,
she has to.
Yeah.
She can't just say, I can't care. These people are surrounding her.
Exactly. And she needs these people, like, to some degree. Like, she has a use of them. So now she cares.
She's just like, Stannis' fault. I'll help you.
Well, and they're like, we don't need your protection. We just are going to pray to the warrior. The warrior will protect us. We don't need Tommen's protection.
Well, she's like, I promise you vengeance. Sure. And they're like, we don't want your vengeance. We want protection. That's all we want.
And then the Iron Throne must defend the faith. is with the guy with the 7-pointed star. So this is kind of where, did we see this recently too? I feel like I remembered somebody had a star on, but I forget what it was.
I think the people walking.
One of the guys with Brienne had one
Yeah.
carved into his chest. We don't see that guy. We see a guy here with one painted on his forehead, I think.
It's above an eyebrow or something, yeah.
Similar idea.
Well, and then the guards at the front had it too.
had them sewn, on their shirts.
Yep. So we get to the front door, and the sparrows block their way, which kind of shocks her for a second. She's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And they're making a new rule that the guards can't have their swords.
I have a problem with this, but we'll bring it up later.
Yeah, when there's people inside with swords.
The swords at the warrior's altar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was very confused.
You just need to say that you're dropping it off at the warrior's feet.
I guess. Yeah, like Marin should be like,
You
I'm
need
here
to come
pray.
with a permission slip.
Well,
I need to get it blessed.
We skimmed over the part here where this dude told her that her son is fat. That was a good part. He said, "Not the fat boy king is going to help us." And then the part where she's like, "Whoa, put away your sword, Marin. Like, why are men such idiots? Everything they do is solved at the sword fight." But she's like trying to kill everybody. That is her problem. So I don't know what she's saying. And then later, doesn't she?
When she first showed up, her first thought was, "We could clear this out with 100 gold cloaks. We could get rid of all these guys."
So I don't know what Sorry,
I mean, Marin is
it's always
dumb.
fun
We
to
don't
point
want
this
to.
shit
I
out.
mean, to be fair, she's right there. We don't want to draw our sword in the middle of this crowd. It's not going to end well. But
yeah, you just get mobbed. It's the whole 100 men to one gorilla.
I'm not a gorilla, but I could definitely beat off 100 men.
It might take a while.
That was a shirt I saw on Instagram. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty funny.
So they're like, all right. She's like, cool, stay here. I'm going in by myself. And she walks into Reynard scrubbing the floor. Reynard, what the fuck you doing down there? Why didn't you greet me?
Yeah.
She didn't say that to him, but
She pretty much is like, hey, this is my dude. Yeah.
Why are you on your knees? And this is interesting. I don't think I ever realized it before. The High Septon just stands up from he's scrubbing along
there.
with them.
Yeah, he's doing the deed too.
I guess I thought he always like walked around a corner or something, but no, like he's
there,
living it. Yeah,
unknown dude that's scrubbing the floors. Gotta like that.
He had to know Cersei's coming, right?
He's a foxhole guy.
He could have started scrubbing like 20 minutes ago.
But
he's again, it doesn't seem like that.
You say that about the guy that has severely calloused feet. The man has been walking around barefoot in penance, probably, right? Like that's like we learned the other chapter. That's why they do stuff like this. So I think this guy's pretty living the thing he's saying, at least. Yeah.
The other interesting thing I never noticed before, he goes, I guess because he's now like the avatar for the gods, he refers to himself in the plural. So she's like, "Are you the High Holiness?" And he's like, "We are." And he's like, later he's like, "Follow us," but it's just him.
Yeah.
Like he answers in the plural.
I didn't pick up on that. But that makes sense.
I thought it was weird the first time. Like, is this a typo? But then he kept doing it, so I was like, okay, it's only a few times though.
Makes sense.
Well, she says, "You are his high holy." Like pretty much, she's like cleaning the floor, working form of prayer. Like we've been expecting you, and then he stands up, right? And she's like, "Oh my God, you're his high holiness." And he says, "We are." And then she's like, "Oh fuck, oh fuck me." It's pretty much her mental, she immediately reads this guy as like, I'm in for it now.
She's like, "I'm supposed to kneel to you technically in here, but the ground's wet because we're scrubbing, so I'm not going to do that. It'll ruin my dress."
And dirty, dirty water.
I got this nice dress on. This nice dress that is a little snug in the belly.
It's true. Snug. She
needs the dress stretcher.
She does need a dress stretcher. This one she hasn't worn in a few years, though. If I put on a shirt from college, some of them are a little snug on me, too. So
where's my guy, Torbert?
Oh, he's locked up. He was a little fat. Sinful to be so fat when so many are starving. So he's on bread and water for now. He's on
Makes
a diet.
sense, too. Why are you so fat, man? Everybody's starving.
I mean, this guy, like I said, he at the very least is full in on what he's saying.
Yeah.
Whether or not he's crazy or what, like, I mean, the next few things here, right, is like, what about the crown? Sold everything. Like, we needed the gold. Like, this is not the time.
Where was all the fancies? Why didn't you greet me with like the pomp and circumstance of you being the High Holiness and me being here? And well, we ain't got shit. We ain't got none of that left. We need to make some money for the people, and it's all for the people too, which I think is like it's not.
Yeah.
Back to
this
the crown.
Dude, like I said,
it's like we're doing it for the low dude that's starving and
whatever he's saying, he's at least doing it, right? Like I whatever you want to say about any of it, whatever, but he's all in, trying to help everybody he can. He's got all these dudes here, right? Like the whole reason the sparrows are here is they're here for me to help. I'm hearing them. Like he seems like it's
almost like if like the small farm town church that has like 5 people come, you know what I mean? Because the town's so small. If he became pope, how he would run shit, probably. I don't know. I don't know enough about Catholicism I don't want to talk shit on any popes.
Like a dude from Chicago.
But I feel like he would run. Yeah, maybe that's what people think about this guy. I don't know.
I don't know.
But I mean, if he's a Bears fan, we're in bad shape.
I don't think they ever wanted an American to be the Pope.
But. I mean, what do you mean they? They voted him.
Well, I think everyone was pretty shocked that he won.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Odds weren't for him. I know Vegas had odds for the Pope, which just that feels.
I don't know much about
it. Welcome to where we're at, my man. Betting on everything.
Yeah. So how did this guy get elected? That's actually a good segue. How did this guy, the new high
Bull just showed up with more people. Just rolled in the front gates with hundreds.
Read that. Yeah, you make it sound like it was not a hostile takeover. To me, it reads like a hostile takeover. It's only one paragraph. He is utterly mad, is what Cersei thinks.
He is utterly mad. The most devout must have been mad as well, to elevate this creature. Mad, or terrified of the beggars at their doors. Qyburn's whispers claimed that Septon Lucian had been 9 votes from elevation when those doors had given way, and the sparrows came pouring into the great sept with their leader on their shoulders and their axes in their hands. It's definitely hostile. The doors were locked. They broke down the door.
That's what it is. Like, she's like, they must have been mad or terrified of the beggars at their door, but then she's like, yeah, the beggars came in before a decision was decided with axes.
And
so it's like, what do you mean?
Nope,
like,
we're voting too. That was kind of wild. Like, who said they got a vote?
I don't know that they did get a vote.
Well, so it seems contradictory, but it must be like the sparrows came in, put knives to their throat, and then like held a air quotes election, right?
Yeah.
Like they still went through the throw your. I mean, that's name also how like it is.
Just protest and stuff works, right? Like as you get your voices heard, and like here's these people. It's kind of the whole Cersei thing where they're in front of her, right? They're in front of them, and here's this plight we have, and. Like, we need to appease them somehow.
It just seems weird that if, like, we know it was just straight up a hostile takeover, why is Cersei just showing up like it's not? Like, why aren't we showing up in force here to, you know what I mean?
Because they're fighting a war. And I don't think she truly cares. I don't think she cares.
I think that's probably the best answer. Cersei just, like, whoever. As long as
this is just who I have to deal with, yeah.
As long as you bless Tom, and I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
or I'll kill you, right? I think that's kind of.
And she thinks, and she starts thinking that later.
Like,
exactly.
All right, I'll just kill this guy if I. So yeah.
So yeah, then they walk and say, "Can we speak more privately?" Then they walk into the actual sept where there's a bunch of people, but my guess is just like this place is so huge that if we stand over here,
no one can
we're pretty much alone.
We can find some room. And sparrows are everywhere praying. They're praying they pray at the crone, right? These two do. These two.
Yep. But this is where there's some hedge knights with their swords at the warriors' feet, which again is just like, so they straight up just kept Cersei's guards out, right? Either this is a fuck up by George or Cersei they're like,
it's probably meaningful.
I don't know though. Here's the thing, right? So it says, "Your Grace," said a gray beard with a stooped shoulder, "you are welcome here, but your men must leave their sword belts. No weapons are allowed within by command of the High Septon."
If they're keeping her men out, that's not what they're telling her, but. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Is it says no weapons are allowed within, and then she walks in and there's a pile of swords here. She says nothing about it, so I don't know.
That's
why
I
weird.
had a problem with. That's why I wanted to bring it up. So I don't know.
Maybe you could turn your sword into a septon, and he'll place it at the warrior's feet, type of thing. But like
no touching it, but it could be right in front of you.
It seems like more like somebody was like, "Yo, Cersei's gonna show up today. Don't let anybody with swords in with her." But again, who knows? It could have just been a fuck up by George. I think it's equally likely.
I
think it's 75%. This was targeted at Cersei. 25% George fuck up.
Yeah. All right. So the first thing they talk about is like, we got to get these sparrows out of here. Like, there's too many of them. There's no room. Get these cats out of here.
So he kneels before they pray, and she's like, "Wow, this guy finally." Because a couple times she thinks like, "I'm supposed to be kneeling to this guy," and he even says like, "Shouldn't you be kneeling to me?" Or he like in a more subtle way, and she's like, "Yeah, right." But here he kneels to pray, so she kind of has to, and then he stays kneeling after his short prayer. So then. She's kneeling for their whole conversation. So again, is it intentional or not? I don't know. She thinks it's intentional that he's tricking her basically onto her.
It's like a power move. It feels like
he's on his knees too, though. So.
I know, but it feels like a power move. It's like moving the meeting to a different room. Like here we are now. We're kneeling.
Office tactic 1.
Don't speak first. What if they just stared at each other? But there's nowhere for these cats to go, right? Is the main problem. Where they came from is fucked from this war, and they ain't got a place to go. Their homes are gone.
Yeah. He's like, I used to be the Maribald of the Riverland, wherever I was. All the villages I used to go to, all those villages are fucking just gone now. So like, where are we supposed to go back to? Like, it just doesn't exist anymore. Wiped off the face.
I don't know. We don't need to get too current with it, but I mean, this is a very common like plight of the homeless, essentially, right? It's like nobody wants them, but like,
where
they're people like,
them?
what do you expect? What do you expect, right? Like, they don't have anywhere else to, or that unhoused, I think is actually the correct term, but yeah, like, what do you expect, right? Like, they have nowhere else to be. Like, it's a horrible conundrum.
Yeah, no good obvious answer, right? So,
and she kind of says, I think it's a good comeback by His High Holiness. She's like, this is awful what they're doing outside on the plaza, right, or on the stairs, like the all the bones and just them being out there. It's the worst it's ever seen. And
I feel like this is a Gladiator quote when she says like their night soil is soiling Baylor's statue in the courtyard, and he says night soil washes off easier than blood. What really befouled this courtyard? Isn't that a Gladiator quote? He says like I just want to go home to farm, and he's like then you'll have dirt on your hand. Like they're trying to keep Marcus from going home. He's like well then you'll have dirt on your hands, and he's like dirt washes off easy. I think
it could be. I can see it when he's.
I haven't seen it enough.
It's got to be one of the first scenes that he says that.
Yeah, early on. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I need to rewatch.
But yeah, he's pretty much like, yeah, you fucking you're the one that killed somebody here. Like, that was desecration. This is nothing. These people
Which
are holy.
started this whole thing too, right? Yeah. It was the catalyst for the whole war that has.
So he came out pretty heavy here.
Well,
I would agree with
you could forget going real quick on our cat hate. Technically, cat kidnapping. Tyrion was the catalyst.
Well, yeah, I mean, Cat
that even led to.
I don't want to dump on Cat anymore, but there's a lot of reasons why Cat's the worst.
Well, pushing Bran.
We can go back to Littlefinger sending messages. What we recently learned about, right? There's a lot of scheming going on, but Cat is probably. If we're gonna point fingers at anybody,
Pushing Bran out the window. Set all this in place.
Kidding to all our Cat fans out there.
Cat would have never left if Bran was not in a coma.
Because they were marching once Ned was chained up.
We're going too long. Let's get back. I was just trying to joke a little bit about Cat.
Well, you can't joke and then you just talk about random details for all fucking hour 10 that we've gone.
That's what we're trying to talk about. You guys get us off topic. I talk about the random.
Yeah, it's our fault.
The random details don't matter because they're random details. I'd rather have a joke every now and again.
Just random topics.
All right, so we get his history. He was a wandering septon, much like Maribald, and she just continuously blames the other people. Right? It's not our fault. It's Stannis' fault, and the Red Woman. It's the Northman's fault. We're just kind of
get those assholes.
Yeah.
So I was kind of memeing about this being just a classic politician thing, and I think she mentioned in a previous council chamber that she actually got this idea from Qyburn. But this is actually, I think, her best argument when talking to the Faith is like, yo. Literally, who are our enemies? Stannis, who's backing a different god.
I do agree with you.
Who are backing? I guess the Ironborn aren't quite their enemies, but like they're backing a different god. The Northmen, different god. Everyone, different god. Like we're literally the only ones in the kingdom with your god. So
support us.
I think that is her best argument. Yeah, even if it is the classic, it's the other guy.
Well, but he immediately comes back like, "Are you kidding me? Like you don't care about our protection at all. Like that's supposed to be like a law, right? Is that you protect us and you have you." Failed at that.
Yeah, even if it was them, where were you? Right?
Yeah.
Like,
and I don't know if it's here or maybe it was out in the council. Somebody had mentioned, like, didn't Jaehaerys promise that the Iron Throne would always defend the Faith? And she's like, sure. She's like, I don't know what he wanted.
That was this guy.
Yeah, sure.
Maegor's Law, I think, or
that's this guy. It's a little later. He says
about Maegor's Law. She knows about Maegor. So real quick history lesson. Interesting. Maegor must have forbidden them to be armed, and then Jaehaerys is the next king. He's the one that got referenced as the one that promised that the Iron Throne would always defend. So you can see how those back to back after each other. Right?
Yeah, they're probably like, "Hey, fuck,
maybe
man,
some of this shit started happening immediately."
Yeah,
right? Exactly. Yeah. So,
but no, she's like, it was those other dudes. He says, well, maybe, but we've got some reports that it was your dudes too, Lions, and then also the Hound. You know, that guy that you guys had pretty close. She's like, well, we can't be responsible for everything. Everybody does, right? Like, sorry.
Yeah, he was seen wearing his gear.
Yeah, and he 12-year-old girl.
Yeah,
bad stuff happened to her. She was promised to the Faith. Old man who was the Septon, he killed, and then he He passed her, the girl around to his men.
I'm not buying this as the Hound for what that's worth. I don't know. It doesn't feel like him, the Hound we know, at least. I know he was an
we've
asshole.
Heard multiple times the Hound raided salt pans, and that's kind of what this guy's
I
talking
know,
about. Just
but like we've also seen Renly's ghost on the battlefield.
Sure, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying this isn't the first time we've heard of this. So
yeah, I know. I know he was bad, right? But I don't know that he was this.
Sure. I mean, also it seems like he was kind of fucked up last time we saw him.
Somebody might take his armor.
I'm just saying it's a quick turnaround. Like if you're on the doorstep, we don't know the timeline. But
if he's with Beric, he has means, bud.
That's true. Oh, that's what you said. You said he died.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
One thing we skipped over when they're talking about Baelor locked up his own sisters, and when Cersei had heard of this story because they were too beautiful, and I don't know if we hear all this right here. He locked them up because they were too beautiful, and he wanted to be tempted because again he's a very religious king. Cersei, when she heard this, that sisters got locked up just for being beautiful, she went and pinched Tyrion till he cried.
Yeah.
And she's like, I should have pinched his nose and put a sock in his mouth. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with
well,
that guy.
To be fair, that pinch his nose, put a sock in the mouth, I think is now, right? Like that would have saved me a lot of trouble now.
Sure, but still, she's like, I should have.
I understand.
She don't care about him.
Killed a baby instead of.
But I don't think
torturing a baby.
Well, yeah. But I think she's saying, like, if only I would have killed him that day, I
surprised.
wouldn't have to deal with what I'm dealing with now. Like, Tywin wouldn't be dead. I wouldn't be on the search for him. I think that's what she's saying. But yes, I agree.
Dang,
she's
who would have
awful.
thought we'd see the day where Kyle is justifying baby
I'm
murder?
not justifying any of that.
But that kind of argument is the thing that you always get pissed off at Jeff. I agree with you, but that's the thing you always get pissed off at Jeff.
I'm just explaining what she's saying.
Yeah, but I've tried to do that, and you've yelled at me for having that perspective.
I understand.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
Again, I don't condone it, but it's
exactly.
what
I don't
she's
condone
thinking.
it, but I understand why Cersei's thinking that. Yeah, I'm just pointing out that from our
Sometimes
point of view,
I think
it's
the way
super
you say
fucked
it,
up,
Jeff,
right?
it feels like you're saying it even before then you get into that whole like, oh, I'm just talking about from the book. But anyway, okay. Not this. You never said anything this awful. I'm not trying to say that.
Oh, you guys are right. The Jaehaerys thing is here, so that's the next thing. Didn't Jaehaerys promise that we'd always protect? You're okay. My bad. Sorry, I doubted you.
I got the book open, bruv.
Cersei's like, yeah, I don't know. Fuck it. You're right, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck
He's
said,
like, but you just got to bless Tommen. Let's get on with it. Just bless Tommen.
Why haven't you blessed my boy?
And she's like, if you dare mention fucking gold, I'm gonna find an 8-year-old. I swear to
How
God,
about this? How about this? He's just waiting to see who wins the war.
Deal with this one as I did the last, and
As
find
I
a
did-
pious
yeah.
8-year-old to wear the crystal crown.
Yeah.
Yep.
She killed him. But how about this? The high. This is how I took it. The High Holiness was waiting to see who actually wins this war, right? Before he blesses King.
Again, to Cersei's point, everybody else who could win backs a different god.
Sure.
Which
is it? I mean, it's a strong point for her.
I think he's gonna back her. He just knows he can get something from it. So why do it for free?
I
Well, the
don't
High
know that he
Holiness
said-
is also saying that you're not protecting us either. Like, you're not actually even for us. Like, you claim you are, but you're not holding up your end of the bargain.
Prove it.
Yeah.
I don't think he's saying wait till the end of the war. I think he's kind of just saying wait until we must be certain, is what he says. So I think he's trying to like do this whole fasting and, scrubbing the floors until an answer comes to him. And an answer just came to him, right? Like, I think that's kind of the other side here is he was waiting for this meeting and to have some sway and to kind of
get something that he wanted out of it.
Yeah. He's politicking. He knows she wants it, so why do it for free?
Yeah.
So I think that's
I'll
part
say
of it.
it's not the war, but the making sure it's Tom, and I think I guess was
okay.
So
yeah, last time when Aegon showed up, the High Septon fasted for 7 days. Basically, then he realized, hey, if we don't back him, the dragons are going to burn everything, so we should back him.
Yeah.
And the Lord of Old Town, the High Tower at the time, was a religious man, so he listened to the faith and opened the doors and
made sense to bless him then.
Kind of worked out, yeah. So it's like I got to do the same. I got to pray on it and see what happens. But again, like you can just read that and be like, well, obviously you kind of had to. Back then they had to, right? Aegon had dragons.
You weren't going to get melted.
You don't have to. Is that, again, I don't know if he's like trying to have some subtext here. Like, you have nothing to threaten me with.
Right.
You have nothing to threaten me with. I guess that's not the Batman who says it. It's Joker. You have nothing to do with all your strength. But she doesn't have any strength. Is the argument. You have nothing. So what are we talking about here?
Would you like to know which one of them were cowards?
Yeah, I think Cersei's funny. She's like, I can help you fast. I'll lock you in a tower until you decide that Tommen's ready to be blessed. Yeah. We're just like going to starve you out. But then she's like, again, brings up her best point. Everybody else to other gods, only Tommen. He's like, defend us then.
I ain't got no men for that. We're fighting a war.
give him the blessing and we'll put an end. And he's like, how? You're going to send a knight with every holy man that wanders the road and give us guards at all of our steps? And she's like, you got
clubs.
Axes, I saw them out there. Go defend yourself, bitch. And he's like, well, there's laws against that. If you're the queen, you should know this.
We'll change that shit up.
And she's like, they can be undone.
And she's like, we'll let you can do this. You can arm yourself and protect yourself, but you got to forgive all of our debt, which was a high number. I didn't take it down.
For $1 million. It was $1 million.
It's a lot of
900,000.
900,000.
Not just bucks. I'm gonna say a dragon's more than just a buck, right? So
for sure, he says it could feed the hungry and rebuild thousands of steps. I think, or at least 1,000. So a lot of steps.
That's a boatload. And to just say like fuck it. That's what I'm saying. Like that many dragons. It's like saying this many silvers or this many coppers. Like
that's a good point.
Dragons.
Well, I think this alone here shows how much this has potential to blow up in her face, right? Like, this dude is way too willing to just give up so much just to hold weapons.
Yeah. And they're not even good weapons. They're fucking clubs.
Yeah, I don't know, though, Jeff. I feel like there's more to this than...
They got some good shit in the back.
Than she is understanding.
Again, I think... I understand why you would say that, Kyle, but I think on paper... The reason it looks good, and I kind of agree with Cersei on this one, is like we've been saying, her best point is who is the faith's number one enemy?
Is the Red Woman.
Stannis in the North, because they both follow different gods. So, like,
yeah,
it makes sense.
And that's what she gets to later on. Is like they're not going to actually be like they're going to go solve a problem for me, right? They're going to go fight these false god people, right? Is kind of her mindset at the end.
Yeah. But she even thinks like Maegor was dumb for making this law back then, not letting them have their swords and stuff. He should have used them like I'm using them,
like a militia.
Cersei's not a student of history like me though, so she doesn't know why all that happened. And the long short of it is they were polygamous. Targaryens were polygamous. They had multiple wives, and the faith didn't like that, and Maegor did. So he was like, I don't like that you guys can kind of say no to me if I don't. If you have an army and I'm doing something
that's
that you
kind
don't
of what
like.
I was going to say here is like she's acting like what you're saying and what she's saying is like, oh, don't worry, I'm on your side. But what really is happening, like she's not pious in any way. She doesn't give a shit about the Seven. So like these people, she is their enemy. She doesn't realize that.
She is quite sinful. Yeah.
She thinks she's good. She thinks she's clear, but like she's not. I mean, and like they're even saying like the lions are part of the people killing us. Like she's not. She thinks she just gained a militia, but like they don't work for her.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Exactly. Yeah. They're asking for, hey, give us people that work for you to defend us, and she's like, no, have people that work for you defend yourself.
Yeah, just make your own. Yeah, do your own thing. Like, which is so stupid, right? Like, yeah, that's like.
Well, we'll see. Who knows?
I don't know. She fumbles this big time, in my opinion.
Who would know?
Me.
Everybody but you, actually.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, maybe. Oh, this is something you know the answer to. All right.
This was her biggest win. She got rid of the sparrows because they're going to go out and do what they got to do now with clubs and shit. She lowered the debt. Huge W. Nobody would have thought about that. And she secured the blessing for Tommen.
All in one.
Bop, bop, bop.
3 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah, she's so good, right? Like everything we've seen her do has been turned to gold. She shits gold. She's Tywin Lannister
even
reborn.
Tywin couldn't do this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She does say that, right?
She did say that.
She says something about Tywin. Yeah, something like that. So next she gets back. She's telling Tane about it. She's like, oh, I'm so smart. Here's how it went. But Tane didn't really know anything about the faith militant.
The small groups of fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so we could learn about him, probably, huh? Yeah, Lady Merryweather shared the Queen's delight, though she had never heard of the warriors' sons or the poor fellows.
They date from before Aegon's conquest. The warriors' sons were an order of knights who gave up their lands and gold and swore their swords to his high holiness. The poor fellows, they were humbler, though far more numerous, begging brothers of a sort, though they carried axes instead of bowls. They wandered the roads, escorting travelers from sept to sept and town to town. Their badge was a 7-pointed star, red on white, so the small folk named them stars. The warriors' sons wore rainbow cloaks and inlaid silver armor over hair shirts, and bore star-shaped crystals in the pommels of their long swords. They were the swords. Holy men, ascetics, fanatics, sorcerers, dragon slayers, demon hunters. There were many tales about them, but all agree that they were implacable in their hatred for all enemies of the holy faith.
So what are your thoughts, Kyle? I think it's kind of like an info dump. Like you said, it's for the reader, for sure, for the first time reader. What is this thing going on?
That's how I feel about it.
The stars and the swords.
Yep.
I'm not here reading the history book. I'm reading Feast of Crows. Cersei, get a grip.
The rainbow cloaks, right? I mean, we had a rainbow guard, kind of. That's pretty
I was
cool.
thinking about that too. Like, it was Renly copying this, but Renly didn't seem super pious. So I don't think so.
No, I don't know that he was copying it, but I mean, you could take some inspiration from this.
Well, they
right?
weren't wearing. They were just wearing a color, right? It's a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit
Yeah, that's
They
true.
were
Each one.
But yeah. So altogether they were a rainbow. But yeah, it's when we were going through it, it was kind of like the Red Star, right? Like we had that Red Star for all those chapters and all those prophecies about Red Star stuff. So I don't know. I don't remember any of those prophecies. So I would like to kind of.
That's actually a really good.
The red,
I never
the red
thought about
comet
that. I really like that. I never thought about that.
I didn't think about that either. I was just thinking like these guys have what I thought reading through that they've already kind of banded into these small groups, right? There were some guys that had axes. Some guys already have the red on white star, right? So they're kind of in.
They were ready for this.
It's kind of what I was pointing out to, like in the like they literally the Brienne people asked Illifer and Sir Creighton, like, join us, do what knights are supposed to do, and defend the whole like.
Come be our sword. Join the sword.
So why aren't there knights in the north? I think this is also interesting to think about.
Well, I think this might actually answer why there was swords at the warriors' feet, because these people were the swords of.
Sure, but to Kyle's point, the quote was, "No weapons are allowed inside the sept." Like, it was
unless you're with us.
He said no. Yeah, I understood, Jeff, but yes, he said no weapons are allowed.
Back to my thing. Why aren't there many knights in the north?
Because they don't get blessed by. It's a religious thing, right?
To become a knight, you have to be anointed in the light of the seven. Yeah, like it's literally like just being a knight in general is technically a religious thing. Which is why like Sir Roderick is the only I don't know even know if Ned probably is a knight, but like just because any knight can make a knight, so technically you can just do the shoulder thing. But there is a religious connotation to knight. So like when the Sparrows in that Brienne chapter are like, you should join us, that's their argument is, hey, you're knights, which means you're anointed in the light of the seven. You defend maybe not necessarily the faith, but just like the innocent and the weak, which is us, like in general. So again, it's not a super strong religious tie to all knighthood, but there's definitely a religious aspect in the whole thing. So
yeah. Well, these people are just going to go gang up and fight Stannis for me. So W.
That's Cersei. What Cersei's saying exactly. And that's what Taina's saying. Like, good job.
And we drink some
like,
hypocrites.
Should we toast to it? Cersei's like, let's toast to the warrior sons. And Taina gives the toast. She's like, to the warrior sons and to the brilliant queen regent Cersei, the first of her name. Cheers. And Cersei's like, damn, that wine tasted good.
Taina is pumping her fucking tires.
Yeah. She's a really good friend.
All right, so we're riding through, and we spot Marge returning from a horse ride, and she's got the whole posse with her, big group, a lot of names. We mentioned a lot of those names earlier, so Nelson doesn't have to.
I think we pretty much everybody and their pairing. Yeah. Alla Tyrell is with Sir Talad, Eleanor with Alan Ambrose, Mega with Mark Mullendore, Meredith Crane and Janna Fossaway with Horace and Hobber Redwine, and then the three stag. So we used to call if you go to the middle school dance by yourself. I don't know where that came from. You're going stag. What's that? What's that?
I think that's probably like a stag deer.
Went alone is what it meant.
I know what it meant. Guess who's going stag? But
you.
Okay, gotcha. The three stag guys are Jalabarzo, Lambert, Turnberry, and the Blue Bard. And of course, we need some protection if we're going out there. Marjorie, we need a Kingsguard, so we got Loras, of course. Yep.
Tommen's not with them, right?
Tommen is not there, and Loras and Tommen have stopped training together, but they're still too close for Cersei's liking. Yeah. He always comes back with stories about him. She doesn't like that. But yeah, Marjorie rides up, and she's like, oh, we were out gathering flowers in the Kingswood, and Cersei thinks, I know. Somebody mentioned this before. I know where you fucking are. I always had guys.
I'm obsessed with your whereabouts.
Yeah. So this I thought was kind of weird. She's always doing something. She's always out riding, or sometimes she was sailing.
I mean, what else are you going to do? Like,
it just made me think like, oh, Sansa always goes to the Godswood.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it reminded me of. And we know that there was something going on there. Marjorie's with a huge group of people, so it's hard to like go meet somebody when you have 20 other people with you. But it just kind of gave me vibes of that. Let
me just say this. If your responsibilities were to do nothing, like you just need to be present in the castle, I'm going to go on some field trips too, right? Like,
we're going to have. I'm hanging out with Marjorie every day for sure. Absolutely. Sounds awesome.
Yeah,
everything
even if you're Marjorie, I'm saying, like, are you just gonna sit around, or are you gonna be like, no, fuck no, let's go out to the woods, let's go throw some fucking flowers on people, let's go
for sure.
And some of it's her playing the game right to the commoners, but like a lot of it's like, let's just go have some fucking fun. Like I'm game.
Well, and she's in a foreign land, like she's a tourist essentially too, right? I mean, I know she's the queen now, but like this is all new to her.
Yeah.
Like you said, she's playing the game. I'm sure she was kind of told like you need to be present and seen and happy and pleasant
look
and
beautiful, look like people want to be around you.
Yeah, and so like she's doing all the right things here, right? Everything she's doing is things Cersei should be doing, and she should be encouraging Tommen to do.
Well, so
as well.
we were mostly talking about her adventures. Then Cersei also talked about what she does in the city, right? She does, to Kyle's point, she does all the right things in the city, right? She goes and sees the small folks. She gives to the poor. She goes to the fish market.
She's shaking hands, kissing babies.
Even the adventures, this is still her realm, right? Like I think this is all good for her to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
This
I mean,
is all
I
part
agree.
of her job.
It's what I would do, but I don't think it helps.
I think it's all part of her job.
I don't think it helps her politically that she's going to pick flowers in the king's. I mean, maybe if the people see her riding back through with flowers in her hair.
It's just relations too. Like she's got good relations with people
and throwing flowers to people and being nice. And yeah, I think that's.
I just think her going like what Cersei talks about her going and like rubbing elbows with the goldsmiths and the dressmakers and the fish merchants and giving money to the poor. I think that's more of why when the Mace rode out, everyone was cheering, and when Jaime rode out, nobody gave a fuck.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the difference
for sure. But I think also understanding the area and like I'm not saying the Kingswood stuff, like the flowers thing. You're right. It's a little kind of just not self-serving, but like doesn't seem to serve a bigger means. But like understanding the region is something that everybody should do. I think.
Yeah.
In terms of the king and queen, right? Like they shouldn't be holed up in the fucking the Red Keep.
No, your realm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is all good stuff. Is what I'm trying to say.
Great line though by Marjorie. At one point she's like, "You should come with us next time, Cersei." And Cersei's like, "I'm too busy. I have a realm to rule." Marjorie's like, "Who's ruling the other 6?"
Yeah, well, that is
like
the best line. Best line of the chapter.
I have a kingdom to rule, and she said, well, "Yeah, who's ruling the other 6?" Yeah,
that is the best line of the chapter for sure.
Then Marjorie hits her with the "JK, I don't want to hurt your feelings," but like that is such a good. It's just a great line.
Just before that, Tommen did want to go out with Marjorie a lot, especially to like rub elbows with the common folk, and Cersei's not allowing that because she's afraid of the mob and taking him down. But
it's interesting because it's like I understand Cersei's point. Like, hey, they don't like us. We're not going to send you out there. But also Marjorie's point, like, they're not going to like you
if you're
you
not doing
come
what
out
I'm
there.
doing.
Yeah. So it's like it's a tough spot.
Yeah.
I mean, kicking the homeless people like she was about to, it wouldn't have been a good sign or a good sight, right? Like she so I think there's a middle ground that could be approached that would eventually start moving them in the right direction, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it's got to start somewhere. Can't keep Tommen inside all the time. Nothing's getting better this way.
Yeah.
She's like, man, this bitch. Joffrey would have seen right through her. He was too strong for the Tyrells. That's why they had him killed.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, light bulb. Well, yeah, exactly. Like that. The light bulb that's why they had him killed. Now she's like, well.
So Tyrion killed him. How did the Tyrells get Tyrion to kill him? They're keeping him safe in High Garden.
Yeah. And then she thinks of the gold coin that Qyburn found.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Which is like,
right?
Pointed to the High Gardens or
they had the High Garden
sigil of their gold coin of the time, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and that was in the cell of the prison guard who's now missing after Tyrion goes missing. So, I mean, to that
it was under a brick in the floor and under some dirt
under the poop pot.
Yeah.
Still, it was there. Like that's something that like we don't know about. That is,
I know, but it wasn't like it was on his nightstand.
I agree, but again, like we think Cersei's going overboard with her paranoia sometimes. I can see why this coin would lead to some paranoia. The guy who's missing after Tyrion, the prison guard who's missing after Tyrion escaped.
Yeah.
Even if it is in a dusty corner, we find this coin
if you want to hide something,
that says fucking Tyrell on it. Not quite, but pretty much, right?
If you want to hide something, you hide it under the poop bucket.
Why not in the poop bucket?
It'd be even better.
Again, I think it's easy to laugh at a lot of Cersei stuff, but I'm pointing out things. Some stuff is definitely like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. And it's kind of cause for paranoia to even us. Like, we don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah. All right. So back to the cool line of like, well, who's ruling the other 6 kingdoms? Marjorie then offers her help to be like, hey, like, let me do some work for you. Like, we can do this, and it'll dispel the rumors out there that we're rivals.
Oh, I've never thought of you as a rival. Yeah. Cersei thinks she's really getting a stab. Marjorie's like, oh, thank God. She's like, what an idiot. She didn't realize I'm making fun of her. Yeah. Cersei just like the playground bullies, like literally her thoughts.
Marjorie's pretty sharp. Like, she had a pretty quick-witted comment, like, just a second ago, like, thinks you can pick up on it. That's
what I was going to say. Is Cersei thinks she's so tough. She might have got it, Cersei. How do you fucking know? She just isn't here going to say something back to you, right? Like,
So
I didn't realize how old Marjorie was. She's 16, 17 at this point.
I would have guessed 19.
I thought she was a little younger. I thought she was like 14, 15 area, but so okay, yeah.
Yep. And she's like, yo, next time you and Tom can come out to the woods with us. It'd be a great time. Then we kind of mentioned this too, like when Rob used to love going out to the woods, that was the time where she could bang Jamie. Even though that was pretty dangerous, right? There was a lot of eyes and whatnot during that time, but she liked it. And the woods can be dangerous too, Marjorie. You gotta be careful.
Yep.
Rob died out there.
Let's read this little last bit. Like I said earlier, she basically says like, "Hey, it's dangerous out there. You don't want to get hurt." And go ahead, go.
Marjorie smiled at Sir Loras, a sweet sisterly smile full of fondness. Your grace is kind to fear for me, but my brother keeps me well protected. Go and hunt, Cersei had urged Robert 100 times. My brother keeps me well protected. She recalled what Taina had told her earlier, and a laugh came bursting from her lips. Your grace laughs so prettily. Lady Marjorie gave her a quizzical smile. Might we share the jest?
You will.
The queen said.
I promise you, you will.
Yep. So this is, I guess we were both right, Jeff. I read this part of this earlier and I totally missed it. She recalled what Taina had told her earlier. And the laugh came to her lips.
But she didn't tell her.
Didn't tell her anything.
Yeah, she didn't tell her.
So I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Where was that? Where was that page?
Yeah.
Did I skip a whole page? What else were you?
I think that just proves that her and Taina are probably on the same page there, and that we're making up some stuff or claiming some stuff about Loras and Marjorie. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I guess is that what the insinuation here is, that they're having a Jaime and Cersei situation.
Yeah,
that's how I read this. Yeah.
I don't know how else you could read it.
I didn't know if she was like going to use Loras somehow against her or something. That is the plan, but yeah, it reads like okay. Well, at the very least, we have this rumor we can start spreading, right? Like,
especially because at the first, like we talked about earlier, when Cersei's asking about all the singers and people who hang around Marjorie, it seems like it's because Osney's not getting the job done, and she's trying to find.
She does say that at some point too.
Yeah. So here in that, the whole Loras, the wicked thought that Taina has, kind of ends that conversation, and Cersei's like, keep it to yourself, insinuating she has the same thing, and then here they bring that up. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm on. So cool. Yeah, kind of a long chapter. Again, it's interesting because I think it's a long one, and it's like we said, pretty good one. Yeah. But we're not going a lot of places. We're all like, it's in a fucking litter and at the high sept. That's it.
3 conversations.
I think there was a lot of, like I said earlier, I think there was a lot of tension in this one. At least for me, it felt like that throughout. Like there's kind of just stuff to wonder and ponder the whole time, I guess. I don't know. So
yep.
I think that's kind of the part of maybe that's where you guys get some of the fun out of the Cersei chapters too, is like just because of the duality of what she's saying and what she's thinking and what she's doing, or triality, I don't know, what she's saying and thinking and what she's actually doing. Maybe I got that wrong, but either way, yeah, like like those things don't mesh up. So that's kind of like what's makes them more interesting, is sifting through and just kind of understanding what's actually happening. Like, right? Like we can actually not imply our own, kind of create our own reality for this, because she doesn't seem to have the full one, or at least present the full one to us, right? Like, I don't know. That's my interpretation of it, at least.
Yeah, she's like switching gears between like multiple realities all the time. Like sometimes Tyrion's there, sometimes Tyrion's here, sometimes this is what we're gonna do, sometimes that's what we're gonna do. So yeah, I love Cersei chapters. Yeah, anything else, Kyle, before we let you go? I guess anything else on Cersei?
No, I mean, my main thing with her was, like I said, I think this militia is gonna. I don't think they work for her like she thinks they do.
Gotcha. Cool. And then did you see the next chapter?
The Reaver.
The Reaver. So, any thoughts on who that might be, or?
I have no fucking clue. I didn't read the beginning of that at all, so don't worry.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Well, that's good. All right. Well, so we'll see Kyle on the next one.
Maybe it's the Hound.
The Reaver. See the rest of you guys in the spoiler section.
Bye, Kyle.
Later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Bye, Kyle. See you on the next one for the Reaver. Do you know who this is, right?
Euron.
No, Euron isn't a POV character. Sorry,
It's a Greyjoy.
Yeah, there's 3 of them: Asha, Aeron, Victarion.
It's one of them.
Which one?
It's Euron. Aaron.
Euron wasn't an option.
It's Aaron.
Aaron's
It's
the
Aaron.
priest. It's Victarion, the Reaver.
It's Victarion.
That's who it is. He's the Reaver.
I don't know what that means. What's the reaver mean? What
It's
if you're a reaver?
You
What
attack,
does that
you
mean?
reave and you rape and you pillage and you plunder.
Oh.
Tyrion, he's the reaver. They attack the Shield Islands, which are islands off the coast of.
Did Asha bail?
Yeah, she ran away to Deepwood Mont. She's about to be captured by Stannis. That'll happen in this book. Beast of Crows will pick up, I think, and maybe that'll be in Dance of Dragons. I'm not sure. I mean, I think Beast of Crows is slowly. We're getting to the end.
It's fine, man. It's just a chapter length. They just be long talking for me.
Like normally towards the end they pick up. So I guess that's just what I'm getting at. So
I mean, that's just any book.
I do have a few things. Let's get to them. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I got a few as well.
All right, we'll see if we can cross off this together.
Renly was about it. Was he?
That-
Nah, he was looking at Loras.
So that's a weird.
Loras was there, right? If Loras wasn't mentioned carrying Marjorie up, I would have been like, damn, Renly was actually about it.
So I could go down this rabbit hole on this one because this was something I was thinking about a lot. So Taina is the only person besides Shay that actually like really lies during Tyrion's trial. Everybody else, like Maren Trant, says Tyrion slapped Joffrey and said like you're the worst king ever, but like that actually happened after the riot. And like everybody else, I think says stuff. Osmond might say something about like Joffrey was afraid of Tyrion. That doesn't seem true, but we don't know. Maybe Joffrey said something to him that we're not sure about. The only lies we know are everything Shay said, which we know those were lies. Some of those were lies. And Taina said that she saw Tyrion put the poison in the cup. Like she says she saw it, which we know that didn't happen. So to me, that tells me she's not afraid to lie.
Well, you assume it didn't happen. You assume it was the pie.
We know Tyrion didn't put the poison in the cup.
Sure. Sorry.
So, to me, that tells me Taina isn't afraid to lie to get what she wants. What she wants isn't clear. I think if you look at it's clear she wants to get on Cersei's good side. She literally just says everything Cersei. She's the person that says everything Cersei wants to hear all the time, as best as she can.
Wouldn't you think if that's true, like just going off of this topic, that she would have been like, "Oh yeah, there's definitely some blood on those sheets."
Well, so exactly. But other people would know that's not true. So I guess that's the same true with the erection thing too. But to your point, like that could have been true. I think it's weird here that she's implied. Like, to me, I wouldn't think Renly would. I would have thought this was the opposite. Renly was not ready to go on his wedding, right? And like,
I don't think once Loras gets mentioned, I think it then changes the fact that it's like, all right, well, like he was probably drunk, right? He was in his whiskeys, and then he saw his boy, and he was ready to roll.
Like, there's not many. I've had crushes on some girls. There's not many girls that like I look at her and boy, like that's not how that works. We all know that's not how that works. Like, especially when you're drunk, right? So
sure, but he's like literally like getting his clothes ripped off.
Right? Loras isn't.
I know that, but he's still like. Look, we don't know. We don't know what happened.
I think that's why it's
what
interesting.
I'm saying. Hey, if he wanted to go both ways, maybe they had a threesome. Maybe the two brother, sister, and Renly got after it together. You know.
I guess what I was alluding at earlier with the whole fact that Taina was one of the only people we know that lied at the trial.
Yeah,
makes me say she's not above lying to tell Cersei what Cersei wants to hear.
I'm with you there.
Another big question that I was actually thinking about a lot after reading the chapter is like, whose side is Taina on? I always kind of thought Marjorie's side.
I think she's on the Merryweather side.
Okay, but what does that mean? What is she? What's her goal? Like, what's her end goal? I think the fan theory is either Tyrell, Littlefinger, or Varys, and I never really considered Littlefinger or Varys much. I think if you look into it, one of those is probably the case, and I honestly think probably I'm thinking Varys because to me Varys' goal is keep everything as unstable as possible, so that when our guy shows up, there's turmoil or it's easy to start a conflict. So what Taina's doing, it seems like, is keeping mistrust between Tyrell and Lannister.
My thought would have been to make her like an independent contractor, but like she doesn't gain. Like she's already at like a decent house. Like she's not rising in station a whole lot.
So we're talking about I think it's fine to look at that point too. Again, I thought about this. Her house basically got the Connington treatment. Orton, her husband, his grandfather Owen was the Hand. We talked about this last Jaime chapter. He got exiled. Basically, the exact same thing happened. They took all his shit. He got pretty much the castle and a little bit of land back, but that's it. So if I'm a Merryweather, my first goal would be, let's get back what we had, right?
That's why. So what I was gonna say is, I think she's kind of trying to work both sides of the coin right now. Like, she's probably like telling Cersei some shit and also lying to Cersei, maybe telling Marjorie and also lying to Marjorie, just to see like who's actually gonna kind of
End up on top.
win.
Yeah.
You know, who's a little bit better to be associated with. And at one point, like, that's why she's not like full into Cersei's camp, obviously, like with her son, with not wanting to bring her son there. But it's not like
not wanting to bring her son, I think, is a huge sign that she thinks at some point Cersei is going to be angry with her, right? Why else not bring your son?
angry with her, or that they'll lose, right? Or I don't know. Like, hitching your wagon to her would be like, if the Tyrells win.
The thing is, like, I feel like Tyrells, and maybe I'm wrong, I feel like Tyrells, I'm not afraid that Tyrells are going to hurt my 6-year-old kid or 8-year-old, whatever he is. Cersei is definitely not above hurting an 8-year-old kid.
Maybe not in the literal sense, but they will much more likely be like, all right, like Cersei is going to like, all right, fuck you, I'm hanging your son, and you. Tyrell's going to be like, all right, we're taking your son's
You're a peasant now. Yeah,
castle. Yeah. You're now.
I can see that. I agree.
But I don't know.
So let's go back. My first point is, why is Pycelle visiting Marjorie? This kind of becomes a big plot point later, but I don't think we know.
Tansy tea. She's getting a lot of tansy tea.
So this is what he ends up telling Cersei. He's like, are you giving her... I think she basically is like, it's something you're not supposed to do if you're a detective. Or he's like, why are you going there? Why are you going there? And he's like, I don't know. And she's like, are you giving her moon tea? And he's like, yes, that's what I'm doing. Like, you're never supposed to like lead
with what you want them to say. I don't
exactly
know, but
so I was looking this one up, and I think from what I could tell, I only did a quick look around online. I think the fandom is kind of split on this one. Some people think Pycelle is actually giving her moon tea, and the reason it's Pycelle is because she doesn't want word getting back to Mace or Olenna, so she's not using the Tyrell Maester. I don't know if I buy that. I think it's more likely that Pycelle's lying, but this is my biggest problem. If Pycelle's lying about giving her moon tea, which seems to me the most likely, then why the fuck is he actually visiting Marjorie? Like, what is he visiting Marjorie for?
Yeah, I don't know. And it's obvious, right? He's obviously not hiding it, so it's weird that he's so open to doing
Unless
it.
Tana's lying again, which again, I think is fucking hard as shit to tell.
Yeah, but there's accounts. Like, someone else can see that. She can confirm that pretty quickly. I'm going to say, like, again, it might just be a Marjorie thing to, like, hey, Pycelle, like, come have tea with me. Like, let's just shoot the shit. Like Marjorie's trying to build out, like, her connections type of thing. Because I do think she's pretty with it in that realm of, like, let me, like, talk to you. You come, like, you come have some tea with me. Let's go listen to this singer. And she's just like, hey, Pycelle's a player. Let's get him on the list.
I can see that. And what you actually made me just think of, too, is, again, Marjorie is a little bit... She's older than I thought she was, to be fair. I thought she was like I said, 14, 15. She's older than I think. So she might be in the scheming age, but this might be a little 3D chess. But what if Marjorie... Well, my thought was...
I'm with you with what you're saying.
I haven't said it
like,
yet,
let's
let
create...
me say it.
I know what you're going to say.
For the fans, my thought before any of this, I really thought about it, was Tana is a Marjorie plant telling Cersei what Marjorie wants Cersei to hear. But if we look at like the way the rest of Feast goes, things don't go great for Marjorie, right? So the information Tana is giving Cersei is bad, is detrimental to Marjorie, some of it. But I guess if you're going that, you could say Marjorie is inviting Pycelle over just so, and saying, hey, Pycelle, what's up? High five, see you later. Peace out.
Yep. Just
so she can have Taena tell Cersei about it because she knows it'll fucking...
Absolutely. It's just going to create the paranoia in Cersei's brain.
Yeah, exactly. Which is possible, but I think, again, for that, you have to believe Taena is 100% on Marjorie's side, which I think, it's a fun question. This is why Feast is fun, is because, then I think this is why Feast will be even better once Winds comes out. Once we find out what Taena's up to, some of these chapters will be kind of fun to go through and be like, oh, it's so clear what she was doing. How do we not get it, right?
Well, the other thing is, I think a lot of this is Olenna driven. Like, I'm not giving Marjorie a whole lot of credit for what she's doing. I think she's being coached.
So
I don't think Marjorie's doing it on her own. I think everything's pretty much Olenna driven.
Sure, and I think, again, I was reading something about, like, why would Taena confess against Tyrion? One reason could be if Olenna was actually behind the Joffrey poisoning.
You got to get a red
we
herring
want
out there.
Tyrion guilty. We want someone else guilty as fast as possible,
Yeah.
so it's not us. So let's
We don't need anybody else thinking about who it could be.
exactly. So let's
and
throw someone
reasons.
out there to convict whoever's the most likely and just get it over with. So I think that's possible. So that's an argument of why she would have lied at the trial. But there's just so many. I don't know. It's I think Taina is one of the. It's so fun. Like it's one of the fun mysteries of
It's
Feast of
interesting
Crows that
for
we
sure.
don't know yet.
I don't remember what happened. Like I honestly don't remember. Like when Cersei gets arrested and shit like that. Like I remember what happens with Taina.
So next Cersei chapter is they learn that the Ironborn attacked. The Tyrells are pissed. They're like, we need to send the Red Wine fleet back because we have no navy over there anymore because they're over here. And Cersei's like, nah, they're busy. They can't go back until we take Dragonstone. And Loras is like, well, then I'll go fucking take it.
Yeah, which he gets fucked up.
We hear he gets fucked up. We don't actually see him. Again, Cersei gets news that he gets fucked up.
He's not actually fucked up. He's doing some other mission. I think he's on Mission Impossible.
We'll get into some of this, but that's how the next Cersei chapter starts. It kind of ends with her just sleeping with Taina, and I think sleeping with Taina. I think there's more of the Valonqar. I think we actually get a lot more of the Valonqar prophecy, and we learn that Bronn killed the Stokeworth husband. So that did not go well.
She is aggressive to Taina, right?
Eventually she kind of does some she treats Taina like Robert treated her. I think it's kind of how her mind goes at it. So yeah.
All right.
But yeah, so I think it's kind of the Pycelle Marjorie thing is interesting because I don't know. It's like, again, we're getting to the point where I don't know, and I'm sure we'll find out at some point the answers to this. But why is Pycelle visiting Marjorie? I don't fucking know. We kind of get an answer in Feast of Crows, but I don't think it's a real answer.
We need a Tyrell POV. We need a Marjorie POV.
Georgia said no new POVs.
I think Marjorie might be a little telling. Like you might get too much of that side, but you need someone on that side of the fence. No,
Loras could be a good one.
Loras would be good
because Marjorie probably clues him in a decent amount, but probably not. Kind of like Cersei. Like he knows more than most people know about Cersei. Jaime knows more than most people know, but not everything. He doesn't know about the Maggie the Frog stuff.
Give us the cousin. I don't know.
Oh, that's true. Mega, Alla, or Elena. That'd be good.
Something.
So this is a good one. I wanted to say High Sparrow. I've said it before.
Yeah. Nah. I don't. Again, I don't. I would have been fine if you said it, but to be called that is I don't know. He's not been called it yet.
I don't know if he ever gets called it. That might be a fan nickname.
Well, Google it and we can come back next time he's mentioned. We can tell if it's not said. I just had the Hound wearing his helmet and armor. Kyle kind of picked up on this, and
I forgot. I think it's actually one of Kyle's most interesting theories that we know is wrong. But he thinks that I guess we don't know. Technically, we don't. I guess we do because we see that the Hound's helm is worn by Roarg later. Yeah. But he thinks that the Hound could be dead and brought back by Beric. I think that's a really interesting theory with everything we know that the Hound and Beric are somewhat related.
Especially knowing that Beric's in that area doing this.
Yeah, and they're, again, outlaws. He brings back dead people. I think it's an interesting, great theory. I think it's actually, if we were reading this for the first time, I think I would be 100%. If we were reading along with Kyle, I think I would be 100% on board with that.
He brought that to the table.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'd be 100% on board. We know it's probably wrong, though, and we're probably going to meet the real Hound soon.
And we know this is Roarg doing this to the 12-year-old, and it's not to Kyle's point, it's not really a Hound thing. Even if he wanted to, because he did want to with Sansa, I'm not putting that past him, but to pass it around, that's some.
Yeah, exactly. It's worse than the Hound is for sure. I think I got a few sweets in this chapter. The first one was
a lot of sweets, lot of sweets. Sweet sister,
with Cersei for sure.
The sweet Cersei was going to be on the front of the ship.
Yeah.
That gets out of here, right? That ship's gone.
They're all gone. They all get stolen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just funny that it's her name, it's her ship, she's on the front, and that shit's gone.
The one that I wrote down was when Cersei asked Taina, oh, you should bring your son to King's Landing. Taina says, you're so sweet to offer, but nah. That way. No fucking way I'm bringing my son near you. near you.
I think when they cheers the Hippocrates, it's to her sweet victory.
Yep, you're right. Sweet victory. Exactly, yeah, sweet victory. I think kind of a big undertone of the whole chapter is the debt. Littlefinger's got his fingers in it. Mm-hmm. The Crown has money problems. They cut their loan to the Iron Bank. They cut their loan they got their loan forgiven to the face, so it actually helped here.
Dude, and a huge debt.
That's a great point by you. I think what we heard was they were $6 million in debt. This is a sixth of their debt. That's a fucking lot of their debt, right? Like that's just gone.
And if we really think about the conversion rate, like we're talking 6 million dragons. We're not talking
dollars, exactly.
Like if you actually want to think about it in dollars, that's probably like $60 million, right?
Might be a billion,
$6 billion, right? Like we're talking
For
like
sure, exactly.
national debt, not just fucking like this.
I bet you it's more than $1 billion because I forget Dunk's armor is like 900 silvers or something like that, I think.
Right.
And I think I saw a video that said like if you were to buy a full suit of like good armor today, it would be like $1,500. Like not even like super fancy. Just like good steel plate.
Good steel.
Be like $1,500. So if that's the conversion and Dunk's buying that for 900 silvers, then to your point, one dragon I think is 1,000 silvers.
Yeah.
I might be wrong though. Now I'm questioning myself.
I mean, it's at least 900. It's more than 900, or they would have just said a dragon and some silver. No one's carrying around 900 pieces of silver if they can have one dragon.
I have the chart. One gold dragon equals 210 stags.
Oh well,
I know.
We're completely.
I
wrong
knew it
then.
was weird. I knew it was weird like that.
Cut that out.
I mean, still, it's fucking expensive as shit. So
it's a lot. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that George isn't super consistent with. I'm pretty sure is the money exchange rate.
Sure. But again, too, like this isn't like they can't go inside and print money and just lower the value of the dollar, right? Like they have gold. They know what gold is. And
So the point for the spoiler here is we know Littlefinger has purposely been causing money problems for the crown, right? Just like, and we know kind of he tries to benefit from this later. I think either in later this book or in later in Dance of Dragons, but he starts buying up debt from people. So people who are in debt to the Iron Bank and the Iron Bank's buying back, or they're in debt to the crown, the crown starts calling back. He starts giving them money to pay back their current loans and taking on those loans
and getting interest himself. It is interesting. Like if his end goal is really to be kind of like the king. Is he going to be wealthy enough to then pay off these debts that if he wants to sit in that chair, the debt's not leaving, right? But
along the debt lines, I don't know the answer. Again, I'm not a money guy, so I don't know the answer to your question. The immediate effect it has, though, is Braavos is sending people to back Stannis. Tycho Nestoris is like a big character in Dance of Dragons who's like, hey, I'm from the Iron Bank. We need somebody besides Cersei. Because that's what the Iron Bank does. It's like, if you default on your loans, we pay somebody else to beat you, and they'll take on your debt for the throne. Well,
that's my thought now is if Littlefinger is prepared to, if he would be the guy, he would then have the way, because he seems pretty smart with the monies and like how to make it and move it around. Like he'll have a chance to actually pay off the debt if it was him.
He could.
Like he probably could have been.
He set himself up so that when he becomes king, he's not immediately fucked from the debt. He
obviously made it worse. Yeah. He made it way worse. He probably, in his role, could have done a decent job of like actually getting the crown out of the debt.
Well, I guess and in making it worse, a lot of it was probably just siphoning it into his own pocket. And if he was smart, he didn't siphon it and use it. He siphoned it and held on to it so that, hey, when I take this debt back on under me, I can pay it back. So yeah, that's possible. Yeah. So again, just like the money theme was kind of heavy throughout the whole chapter. She talks about the ships. She talks about the Iron Bank. She talks
like
about
I'm not paying these people to bless my son.
And I just wanted to point out that Littlefinger definitely has a hand in some of that. Next one, you mentioned this during the non-spoiler. Cersei's white dress is tight, pregnant, fat.
Yeah.
Who knows? I think I've talked about pregnant. I think it's hard to argue because she does do the Walk of Atonement naked. And she's not showing,
and it's months later,
and she's not having much sex between now and then, and that's at least like a month or two from now. So, exactly. Next one, Maegor disarmed the faith. I kind of said this because of polygamy, but also incest. So the faith didn't like two big things that the Targaryens did, and that was polygamy, multiple wives, but also that they married their brothers and sisters, which is
the big kind of trigger of why. Yeah. Cersei gets arrested.
Yeah, so the main reason I think that
I do think it's great. I mean, Kyle picked up on that the Faith militant's not going to do exactly what. Yeah. And you were curious about that before we got into it.
I think Cersei is tough because it's some of the stuff she does is so obviously dumb that it's fine for me and you to make fun of it. But some of it we have to make sure, like, I try and make sure is like, this actually isn't a dumb move. Like when Cersei says like, blame Stannis. That is a good idea when talking to the faith. Like he does have a follow a different god.
And it's the red god, the North gods, the like any of them. Like none of them believe in what you're preaching, bro.
Yeah. So to like, and he kind of called us out, like, oh, we know this one. We know what happens from this decision that she makes, and we do. It doesn't end well for her, but
yeah.
I think it's interesting because wherever it doesn't end, right? Like literally, there's a new army out there, like out, and this could be a thing that happens in a Brienne chapter where she comes across a group of sparrows that aren't so wholesome and friendly anymore. Yeah. And I think this is another big problem of the faith militant is just like from a actual political perspective is like, if I'm an outlaw, I'm a broken man. If I'm one of those guys in the basement that Jamie saw last chapter, what's stopping me from claiming
joining up
or just claiming it? Someone stops me and says like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm with the swords, the warrior sons." Like if you need it, like in the olden days, I think you needed a fucking star carved on your chest. Nowadays,
I'm sure they're gonna have a way of kind of proving who's actually in or not.
Okay, because that's one of the things that I have a question with, like in Winds of Winter, is like, are we just gonna have bands of people doing whatever the fuck they want and claiming it's in the name of the warrior?
Yeah,
son?
I think you're gonna have a mark. I think they're gonna get marked up.
Well, and then who? It's kind of like the chicken or the egg problem. Who governs that? What if I go around saying I'm a warrior son and I'm not?
Show me your mark.
Who says who?
Who are you with? Why are you by yourself?
You're some little merchant.
You're with us.
You're some little merchant that I'm telling you to give me your money because you're not. I think you're sinful. I'm like, hey, give me your fucking money, you sinful merchant. And you're like, you're not a real warrior, son. I'm like, tell that to my fucking sword.
Yeah. No, I do agree with you there. Like a bandit could go out there and play but like if I'm actually a member with the members behind me, and you're trying to be like, no, I'm a sword. You're like,
stolen
no,
valor.
You're fucking not. Like,
yeah, you're in trouble.
Do the secret handshake with me.
Yeah, it's fair. It's like kind of like I get that. It's stolen valor. People people don't take lightly to that kind of shit. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Last thing I had, totally unrelated to Cersei chapter. I've been listening to Dance of Dragons and Feats of Crows. I haven't been following exactly I think it's called Boiled Leather, the reading where they're combined. But I've been listening to them kind of at the same time on audiobook as we've been doing this. And I just finished both. And it's the first time I've listened to the epilogue of Dance of Dragons in a while. Do you remember who the POV is?
Thoros?
Kevin Lannister.
I don't remember what happened.
He's basically like the new hand. I don't think he's actually hand, but he's kind of the one in charge because he gets brought back as Cersei.
Because Cersei's in jail.
She's out of jail by the time of the epilogue. She has just gotten out of jail. She's in the epilogue. She's very timid and like not Cersei. Like she's like, okay, uncle, okay. But like she has like a weird smile and you can tell something's up because I think the very last Cersei chapter in this book is it's in Dance. She meets the mountain, I think. Like
I remember that.
So in this one, in the epilogue chapter, the reason I wanted to bring it up is because it ties into the last Jaime chapter. So kind of out of place, but Red Ronnet Connington is in the epilogue, shows up and is basically talking. He's like, "Hey, I need help from the crown. My castle got taken by John Con."
Yeah.
So I totally forgot that like this is like happening in Dance of Dragons. I thought a lot of that stuff was Winds of Winter. This is like the ending of Dance of Dragons. John Con is here. Red Ronnet is pissed. And kind of interesting along those lines. Red Ronnet, obviously, we don't like him.
It's interesting that in the epilogue, John Con's there because we haven't met John Con.
We have the epilogue of Dance of Dragons. So at this point we've had John.
Is that
Con,
the end? Epilogue's the end. Okay.
So we've had John Con POV chapters at that point.
Right. By that time we would have.
Yeah.
Right.
So what's also interesting is the Mountains Men. Jaime gave them to Red Ronnet. So I forget what happens, but like Red Ronnet, when he basically the chapter is Kevin's in the throne room holding court. Red Ronnet is there like asking for help for his castle. And something brings up the fact that like Shitmouth and Raft the Sweetling and those guys are now like under Red Ronnet, which is kind of funny because like those guys are huge. Like we hate those guys, and we don't like Red Ronnet either because he was a huge dick to Brienne. But from what we know, Red Ronnet isn't a horrible guy. I mean, obviously his treatment of Brienne wasn't good, but after the last chapter, I think it's kind of funny how we see all the Mountains Men and we see Red Ronnet, and we know that they're about to go off with Jaime. We might hear of some of them once or twice before the end of the books, but I bet you the most we hear of Red Ronnet or the Mountains Men again is in the epilogue of Dance of Dragons. So I just thought it was interesting because I literally just listened to that epilogue chapter like the day or two after we recorded the Jaime one, and I was like, damn, I wish I had remembered this and brought it up in the Jaime one. So I just wanted to mention it here. So kind of cool. But yeah, that's all I got for that was for Jaime. But that's all we got for Cersei. Yeah, we'll see you guys. It was a good one, long one. We'll see you guys in the next one for the Reaver. Another good one.
All right, guys. We'll see you. Bye.
Bye bye.